Hey everybody, it's me, Melody. Welcome to my stream. If you haven't already hit that like, subscribe, and share button, make sure you actually hit the bell if you haven't subscribed because I'm on the road to 1K. So that's very important. Share it on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Let's make sure I get to 1K. So today I have a special guest. She's not here right now, but she should be coming. Well, she don't really need any introduction. She's always here in the space. Her name is Queen Q. She's really, really sweet, and I'm very excited to have her here today with me. So let me just drop the link just in case she didn't get it in her email. Hold on 1 minute. This is only for Queen, this link. So Queen, hit that StreamYards link. In the meantime, I'm going to say hi to the chat. Hi, Demetrius. There she is. Hey, Queen. Oh, and also starting at 6:30, we have movie night. So after the stream, make sure you guys join us. We have a lot of fun there, so make sure you guys join. Today we're seeing Deliver Us from Eva. So make sure you hit that stream. Well, that Zoom link. Hey, adult supervision. Yes, 32 more to go, and this could be the day. I just need you guys to subscribe. Make sure you guys are promoting me in the chat so I can get the subscribers I need. Hey, Jessica. Yes, she does. I love that thumbnail of her. She looks beautiful there. She's beautiful anyway, but I love that thumbnail. Hey, Karan. Let's see who else. Hi, Blaze the Stampede. Salute. Good to see you here. And we have Childhound, Life on a Budget. Hey. Okay, so I think the guest is here. Hi, Queen. Can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Queen.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am good. Forgive me if my internet is lagging. I'm on my way back from the doctor's office. I should be home within 5 minutes.
Oh, no, it's cool. It's all right. My internet the same way. I'm inside my car because there's so much noise in my house. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, I love the red hair on you. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. I decided to add a bit of spice, and I was like, let me just do something I don't do, which is color.
Yes, it goes with your skin complexion very well. That was a good choice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, how was your day today?
My day is great. My day is going really, really well today.
Good, good, good. Okay, so for those who don't know, you're into anime and cosplay. Plus, you own, correct me if I'm wrong, you own your own business?
Yes, so I am into anime. I am into cosplay. I'm very heavy into the anime scene. In addition, I am I am a business owner and I own my own anime store.
Nice. So, well, how did that all begin? Like, what made you interested in anime?
So I was probably about 7 years old, and I happened to just wake up and see Inuyasha playing on the TV at 3 a.m. and I saw Shishamaru and I was like, who is this fine white-haired man?
Yeah.
And after that, I got hooked on anime, basically. I used to like army crawl on the floor at night to go watch Adult Swim.
Yeah, me too. Love Adult Swim. Did you watch Pokemon?
I did. It took my family a minute to get used to Pokemon because I don't think a lot of people remember that when Pokemon first came out, a lot of people considered Pokemon the devil. And unfortunately, my family was one of those families that was like, Pokemon is the devil.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I was really big on I was a really little kid, but I was mesmerized by something called Sailor Moon. I don't know how old you are, but I was a child in the 90s.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm sure you know about that.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the first convention I got to go to. My grandparents went with me. So we were living by Texas at the time. So we went to Akon. And my first, why are you speeding? My
Oh, be
first,
careful.
no, my husband's driving and he's like putting the pedal to the metal. But
Oh,
my, my first convention, I actually dressed up as Sailor Mercury. My grandmother actually hand sewed my Sailor Scout outfit.
oh, that's nice. That's
Yep.
nice.
And at
Yeah.
that point, I was branded as a weirdo by my family.
No, you're not weird because actually Sailor Moon is my favorite person to dress up as. Like I was Sailor Moon like 3 Halloweens. I love the whole little skirt and the high socks. I love that look. It makes me feel sexy. So I get where you're coming from with that.
All right,
So
Melanie. All right, Melanie. Well, you
yeah.
know
So,
what, girl? After
huh?
this, after this, drop me your address and my email because we I actually have the Sailor Moon cosplay, so I'm gonna send you
Oh.
one.
Oh, thank you. That's perfect. I love Sailor Moon. So, well, let me ask you a question. Who's your favorite character to dress up as now?
My favorite character that I'm going to try to pull off now is, since I have the red hair, I'm going for Shanks from One Piece. I have been heavily, I don't know why, but sea shanties have been my shit lately. So
Mhm.
I'm
Really?
like, yeah, there's like a couple sea shanties that I've just been like playing, and I know my son is tired of it because when we ride in the car, he's just like, really, mom, sea
Yeah.
shanties. And I'm just going down the road like, send me a weatherman come. So I know I'm just gonna do a Shanks cosplay.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So is your husband and your son into it as well?
So my son is 4. My husband, he's into it, not as heavy as I am. Like he watches other TV show, he watches regular TV. But for me, I am completely invested in anime. If it's not anime, I really don't want to watch it.
Oh, so that's like the only thing on your TV and computer is anime, pretty much.
Basically, if it wasn't for me being married or me having a child, more than likely the background on my phone would consist of anime.
Okay, so you're like deep in it. All right. Well. All right. So, do you attract negative attention from people who aren't into cosplay? Like, do you receive a lot of hate from women specifically?
Um, I will say that you do have those cosplays that I do that will draw negative attention from women, but it's more or less it's two components to it. So it's one, because obviously I'm dressing up and some of these characters can be scantily cladded. So like for
Mm-hmm.
example, I did Morgan from Darksiders. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did her cosplay, I did have a couple eyes like, what is she wearing? But then I also got a lot of compliments. But it was more or less the reaction from girls who had their guys. But I think it was more of a weird factor than oh, she's dressed scantily. Now when we do Bunny
Yeah.
Girl Senpai in the store, that's a different story. Then yeah, you see, you tend to get those looks from women where they're like, you're not shopping in there today.
Yeah, and that's where everything. But I can imagine dressing sexy and women, hating on you, giving you the side eye, like like making their husbands turn the other way. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and it's like doubled a little bit because we work in the store. So it's not only me, it's like you have like 3 or 4 girls walking around and like
Yeah.
Bunny Girl. Like it's almost like, think of it like because Bunny Girl Senpai is more or less, if you think of Playboy Bunny, like the Playboy Bunny outfits, that's essentially what we wear.
Oh, that's sexy. I like that. Yeah, that's real cute. So, are there a lot of fake anime chicks who just do it for attention?
To get into that subject, it's one of those things where you really have to break down what's going on, who's infiltrating the community, and it's one of those double-edged swords, for the simple fact being like, realistically, you do have some girls who get into it for just like, oh, clout, but then when they actually get into it, they're like, you know what, I actually like this, I'm gonna look into it more. And then they end up being
Right.
like, okay, I may have started out this way, but
Mm-hmm.
they transition into, okay, no, like I'm a hardcore fanatic. But it also becomes problematic for women like me who's been in it forever, because we do typically get a lot of men who invalidate us watching anime, especially me being like the owner of my store. I cannot tell you how many times I'm in my store and people come in and they like challenge me
Right.
anime. And it's so funny because my husband will be like, "You don't want that smoke. You don't want the smoke. Don't
Wow.
don't even do it with her." He was like, "She will dog walk you under a table. Don't,
Exactly.
don't do it." He's like, if we telling you that she watches anime, you need to
Right.
believe it.
So pretty much a lot of people. Right. So basically, more people think you're a fraud than not. Pretty much.
Yeah, basically. And then when I break it down,
Okay.
then they're like, "Oh no, she's one of the real ones."
Yeah. Well, that's good. At least you're able to like convince them that you're into it. Because I know they ask you so many questions, like you said, and then I know they're very surprised because it's really not a black women. It's not a black girl thing.
Well,
It's probably more white women into it than black women.
well, I will say this. I will say this. I don't really consider it to be a white woman thing or a black woman thing. I think, and that's what I think. I expounded upon this before when I say like you have people in a space whom they have this perceived image of what it should be versus what it actually is. And a lot of the times, let's be honest, you can have a hobby, you can be into something and not have super extensive knowledge like I do. Like you have some girls who
Mhm.
are like, I watch anime, yes, but I'm not into like every single anime that's out there. I'm not going to go out and watch every single anime. It could be something where they're like, I watch like Attack on Titans and I like that show, so I support that show. And they may have found like one or two other animes that catch their fancy. It's almost like, think about it like regular TV. If you watch fiction shows, not every show that's fiction related is going to catch your fancy. It's the same thing with anime. So you have one, this perceived notion of what you should be, and then two, if you're not into it the way that I am, you're written off. And to that I say, a lot of black women actually do watch anime. It's just they don't fit the stereotypical mold of what that is, because you'll be surprised how many girls who walk in my store, you would not believe that they watch anime. They're like, "I'm only looking for this one anime. This is the only one I watch. This is the only one that I really like, and I want this from the show." And I'm like, "Bet if you like this though, you'll probably like this, this, this." And then they'll go home, they'll watch it, and they'll come back and be like, "You know what? The recommendations you gave me did fit my taste. So I'm here to get merch for that." Melody? Hello? Oh, I think her audio went out. It's fine. I'll just keep it going until she comes back. Real quick, I can just take questions from the chat if anybody has any questions that they want to ask specifically until Melody pops back in. So I'm reading the chat. Keep it rocking, sis. I'm taking over. I'm taking over. I didn't want to take over her stream, but if anybody has any questions they want to ask me, I'm more than open to answer them. What is my least favorite anime? Sean asked me that. My least favorite anime is not so much a specific, but a type of genre. I hate overly compensated fan base anime. So anything that's super fanfic it bothers me, especially when the words don't line up for like the English translation. It bothers me. Somebody said, Queen Q, if I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, what else would I like? So if you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, I
Can
take it
you?
that you're one of the
I'm
people that just like out of the box type of animes. There's a couple. A World Without Dirty Jokes would probably suit your taste. It is a very funny, very comical show. I personally loved it. Um oh wow, when you said JoJo, the first one that popped in my head is A World Without Dirty Jokes.
sorry, guys. I fell off. I lost connection.
No, you're
Um,
fine, Melanie. I tried to keep it
you
alive.
kept it going. Okay, good. What did I? Okay, so what did I miss? I'm sorry.
No, I decided to just take questions from the audience and answer their questions. So I was just going through. Queen Q, have you watched Michiko to Hatchin? What do you think of it? I did watch it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a very, very good show. There's one show in particular that it reminded me of. It jogged a memory, and I have yet to been able to find that show again. Would Eisenstein said would who would, oh my lord, everything's moving. Y'all know I'm dyslexic in here.
Hold on. Let me help you out here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get myself together. I can't believe this. Okay, we was on Eisen Sama. Let me
Yeah.
see. I don't know where we're at. Oh,
Uh
we'll get back.
we'll
We'll get back
get
to
to
that.
those.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the questions. So what did you hear? What's the last thing you heard before I fell off?
I think it was you asked me about women and watching anime overall.
Okay. Yeah, and what did you say? I'm sorry.
So to that, I just basically said like people have this stereotypical mold that they expect for Black women to have who watch anime, and that a lot of women who watch anime, especially when it comes to Black women, I will admit that they are not heavy into it the way that I am. So it's almost like watching regular TV shows. You have your TV shows that you fuck with and the ones that you don't. The same applies to anime. You don't have to be heavy into it and have extensive knowledge for you to partake in something and actually enjoy. So, for example, like I like fishing. I don't know the
Mhm.
difference between a bluegill, a trout, or anything like that. All I know is
Right.
put shrimp on a hook and throw it in the water and reel it
That's
in.
it.
And
That's
I
it.
enjoy it. So I kind of contributed to the same thing like anime. You don't have to know everything to be able to enjoy it. And when you look at me, I'm not the stereotypical looker of when not looker, but I don't have the stereotypical look of a fisherman or a woman that fishes like that. But I will get out in the water and go fishing.
Right. And just like, so usually when I see women do cosplay, it's usually for like porn or it's women who's into BDSM. That's my next question. Um, it's a little personal, I know, but are you into BDSM?
Yes, I am. I have no problem with
Mm,
that. I am.
okay, so you like to dress up, just for the role play of it with your man.
Yes. Yes, it could be fair. It can be very fun. And especially like when you have your cosplays on, there's like a certain level of excitement you can get from it.
Hmm.
So that is like something that's very normal. A lot of people have their kinks and their fetishes and different things like
Right. Look
my
at your
husband
husband.
is
Look at his
like
face. He got the straight face like, you saying too much. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, get personal. But yeah, people usually, put the BDSM category with cosplay.
which
Um,
it is technically a subset of BDSM because you don't always have to dress up as an anime character. You can dress up as a plumber, firefighter. Yeah, we've seen the porns where they do the pizza delivery man. It's just a
mhm.
lot.
Yeah, to me that's so fun. My favorite one is like the school girl, the teacher, stuff like that. It's fun. Or the nurse, the nurse with the
The n-
patient. I like that.
ah,
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we basically covered this part of it. So let's get into the manosphere part of it.
okay.
So, what brought you here to the Black Manosphere?
So realistically, me and my husband, We do a lot of driving, and of course I like to listen to different podcasts when I clean. Well, before we got onto the manosphere, we were actually listening to a gentleman by the name of Young Pharaoh. We used to always watch his videos, always watch his live streams, and eventually it drug us kind of a little bit close to the manosphere. I didn't really know about the manosphere until I'm gonna be honest, well, excuse me, I knew of the manosphere. I did not stay in the manosphere, if that makes sense. My first true introduction into the manosphere was Tommy Sotomayor.
Mhm.
Obviously, it was not my cup of tea. So I was like, I'm gonna stay away from this sector of YouTube. But now that I think about it, I really wish I would have investigated and went deeper into it to see, like, maybe there's some other proper representatives, in my opinion, of this this space when I was younger. Because I
Right.
ran across Tony when I first joined the military, so I was like 18 years old, and I'm hearing everything that he's saying, and I'm like, some of it at that time, I was like, I can see where he's coming from, and other things, I was like, I can't connect the dots, so I
Yeah,
kind of fell off. But
I can see that.
yeah, so then my husband came back, and that's when we found out about Bernard's channel. So my husband's like, hey, there's this gentleman named Bernard. I want you to listen to it. So I was like, all right, bet, let me listen to it. And I really thoroughly enjoyed Bernard. And I was like, okay. Then I think he did a panel. I think he was on with Obsidian. So then I found Obsidian. And then it went to Game Changer. And then it went to Little Big Nate and Angry Man. And then I found out about Platinum and Edward Anderson. So I slowly kind of like made my way through where I started to become more acquainted with the space. And I was kind of like, why couldn't I have found these gentlemen earlier when I first got into this?
Right. So you basically you agree with what these men are saying, how they're holding black women accountable for their actions and things like that. You agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And this is things that I've called out in the real world multiple times. I'm like, especially when it comes to me and my husband, because we've been married, I would always like, realistically, me and those women are no longer friends, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like one of those things where you get to know people and then you start to see who they really are. And it's like, I know at one point I had a friend who used to be like, I wish I had your type of relationship. And I was like, no, you don't. Because if you did, you know what type of guy you would need to go after, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not interested in that, so you're willingly choosing to make those bad decisions, and I can't support that. So it's one of those things where it was like I already had somewhat of that red pill mentality. I just did not know what to call it, because there were times that I went through, I would say, as a woman myself, I went through some red pill rage, but my red pill rage was more towards other women for acting a certain type of way, and then I'm getting grouped in with you.
Right. Just because we're black women don't mean we're the same. I get that too.
So
So I
that was my thing, because like there are times, like me, of course, being in the military, I would see shit and I would just be like literally in my head, I would be like, you fucking ghetto bitches.
right. Oh my
I'm like, y'all need y'all ass beat. Like, what is wrong with you right now? And I used to always find myself just kind of like distancing myself from that. Even in the military, I think that I would find decent women to hang around, and it was like, I was like, I can't stay around you because I don't want that to spread to me. I don't want to subconsciously adopt that ideology. So I would always end up finding myself distancing from women like that.
Right. And this is why I don't have any friends. I never had friends. So I always thought it was something wrong with me, but it's not me. It's these women. It's the women out here, you know?
I will agree to that, because I don't really have too many female friends at this point. And I'm like, more or less anybody that I really know, like, except for a couple handful that I met in the military that are on that same wavelength like me, and like other women who are married who act like me. My
Hmm.
circle, like for example, we moved, so I don't know anybody around me. All my friends, like I said, are military or they're somewhere else. So where I'm living currently right now, realistically, I don't have any female friends. Would I like to have some? Yes, but just because I want some doesn't mean that I'm going to associate myself with just anything.
Well, we can be friends.
Of
We can
course,
be your
obviously.
friends. We have the same thought process. So love it. I love it. So before marriage, did you consider yourself a pick me? Or did you have other black women calling you a pick me because you're submissive?
So the reality is, like, I always bring this up. Before I was married, I was not first choice. Let me put it like that. I was not the girl whom guys really looked or paid attention to. Like when I first met my husband, I'm gonna expose myself. I was like skinty. I was like 87 pounds when I met my husband. So you can imagine, like, I have no shape, I have no figure. I felt like I was cute in the face, but I really didn't feel like I was that cute.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those type of situations where it was like I was there, but I wasn't there. So people got to know me before they looked at me, if that makes sense. So it's like you see me,
Right.
I was like, oh, she all right. And they would ignore me. But when they sit down and have a conversation with me, then it would be like, okay, no, I could really rock with this girl kind of thing.
No, I get it. I definitely do. But I'm looking at your avatar and you're a gorgeous woman. I mean, why wouldn't you think they were looking at you?
More, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't fit the stereotypical mold of what men wanted at the time. Like I really wasn't curvy. I wasn't like, I think, okay, so like for example, when I was in my military career, I was in that phase of relationships where you saw people, like I grew up in that era. I was going through that time period where you had people that were like, this is couple goals, like shoes and like J's and all this other stuff. You do you remember that phase? Like,
Yeah, I do.
okay, that wasn't me. I was not a materialistic person. In addition to me being in the military, I was kind of like, look, I'm not gonna go out and spend $200-300 on J's. At that point in time, I was more focused on elevating myself and
Mhm.
helping my family. So realistically, when I first joined the military, majority of my paychecks I was sending home to my grandmother and my grandfather. So I was already, one, low on cash. Two, I just did not see the point investing in any of that stuff. I used to literally just go, like, if I went shopping at the mall, I would always shop off the clearance rack and things like that. So it wasn't like I was out here wearing like designer clothes, designer bags. I'm gonna be honest, because I was in the military, I really didn't pay too much attention to my looks. So like I used to keep my hair short and pull back into a ponytail because it was easier to get up
Mhm.
and just go in the morning. So
Right.
I was not really one of those type of girls where it was like, oh, I didn't invest a lot into my looks at the time. Not until like, especially me being in tech school, I was like, bunk that, to all you girls who get up in the morning, y'all can do y'all makeup. I'm like, no, we're getting up at 4 in the morning. We're running 3.5 miles, push ups, sit ups, and all this other stuff. I'm going back to the dorm. I'm taking a shower. I don't care what I look like. I'm pulling my hair in a bun and I'm going to class for 12 hours just to get out and come home and study. I'm like, absolutely not.
So you don't consider yourself a pick me because you didn't care about being picked. You didn't do all the extra things, the extra feminine girly things that women were doing to get picked pretty much back then. It
No,
just came.
I wouldn't even say it came naturally. Like me working on my image and learning how to carry myself has been a journey. Like I wasn't always looking at myself for my image. I was just kind of like one of those girls that's like, look, I'm here. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I got other things I got to take care of. That was where my mindset kind of was. And it wasn't until I got out of tech school and all that like seriousness died down. Because, of course, being in the military, you can't lack on any of your duties, especially in tech school, because then you get held back and you're stuck there for it's like college almost. So I'm like, let me just put my face in the book. Let me
Mhm.
study. I was trying to become number one in my class, which I did. So I had to sacrifice things to get to that.
Right.
So it wasn't until I went to my first duty station I was like, okay, now I can lax. And then that's when like the realization started hitting me that like, I'm an adult now. So I can cut my hair. I don't have to ask for permission to cut my hair. I
Mm.
can change my style. I can explore different things. So once I got to my first duty station, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut my hair off. Like there was a period where I shaved my whole head and I was bald and I was walking around with like makeup on it. I just wanted to try the
Wow.
bald look.
Right. How did that go?
I got a lot of compliments, believe it or not. Like when I just came in, like I came in and I was just like, and they were like, "You shaved your head," and I was like, "Yeah." And I actually got a lot more male attention when I shaved my head, which was really weird.
Yeah, you can pull that off your face shape. You have more like of an oval face shape, so it probably looked really pretty on you. Yeah, definitely. I can see that. So, yeah, I mean, well, what advice would you give to young black women looking for a healthy relationship?
Um, don't ignore the red flags. Don't ignore the red flags and have a set of reasonable, hear me out, a set of reasonable standards.
Right.
Like, my reasonable standard was this: I would never ask a man to do something that I myself could not do. So my standards were basically the same as me. I would expect for you to do or try to do the same thing. So if I had a car, you had to have a car. If I had a job, you had to have a job. I'm not saying you had to make as much as me, but
Mhm.
it's all within reasonable. I had to see that you were a functioning adult first, and then from there move on. Because
Right.
if you don't have that functionality, I'm not going to be that support system that supports you and gives you that. Because if I leave, then you're going to crumble. And me being the person that I am, having the heart that I have, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I did have to learn how to be strong and put those barriers up and say, like, no, like, I have to cut this off.
Right. So you were basically picky. You didn't just jump into any relationship, how most of these women are doing.
Yeah, no. And two, I think it's too because of what I saw other girls to go through. I'm
Mm-hmm.
the type of person that was a passive learner. So if I saw your situation led to one thing or another and it came up in my life, I'm all like, no. Based off of what happened with her, it's a no-go for me.
Right. You were smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just didn't jump from penis to penis. Like that's a lot of these women's problem. They're having sex with everybody, trying to find the right guy, but that's not how you do it. I mean, you have to, like you said, set a standards, and then when you get a guy, you have to submit to him. That's the problem a lot of these women have, not submitting. Now,
Yeah.
what was it easy for you to submit, or did it take some time? Was it hard, or did he have to earn it?
So it was a combination of a little bit of all three in our relationship. So for
Mhm.
me, I I did me personally, I don't feel like I had good representation of what submitting looked like. So for me, with my childhood trauma and the stuff that I went through, it was very difficult for me to submit starting off, just because I'm like, I was very much a person when I would date in a relationship, I'm like, I didn't tolerate bullshit, if that makes sense. So like I had to I had to refine that, because my thing would be, if I felt like you were doing any little type of thing, is like, if I felt like if anything was going to turn out negative, I would drop you like a hot biscuit quick, because I'm like, that's not what I want in my life. I saw what some of the women in my family went through, and I was like, no, because I knew I wanted to avoid those red flags that they had. So when they pop up, it was an automatic no. So like, even with the men that I was dating, I did not, I'm gonna be honest, I did not go for like hood men. None of that. If you approached me, you had even gold in your mouth, I was like, absolutely not. You came up to me, your pants were sagging. No, I don't want to talk to you. The way that you, even if you approach me, you be like, "Hey, shawty, what your name?" I'm like, "Mm-mm, I'm good, sir. Have a good day." So even that played a role in how I had to work at my relationship. But when it came to submission, that was something that I had to go to therapy for. And I'm glad, I do not mind saying that, because I do believe a lot of people have to unpack their bags and figure out what's going on. But I went to therapy to help me figure out why I could not be wholeheartedly submissive to my husband. And luckily for him, I'm very grateful for him that he came with me to that.
Hello?
And we were,
Oh,
hello?
sorry. Yes.
Oh, sorry. We
You
were
can
able to
continue.
identify those issues.
Right. So pretty much your husband understood that and it was easy for you guys to get along and be together.
Yeah, and I think too, the part that helped too was that I was so willing to open up about the trauma that I had faced, so that way he understood. And I thank God that my husband is understanding because of that. He had the time and patience to say, okay, look, I get it, but I know you went through these things, so I have that compassion, but I'm also going to hold you to a standard to help improve and make sure you hit those goals to where we can get to where we need to be. Hello? Oh no, Melody. If we want to, guys, I can start taking questions again until Melanie pops back up.
Can you hear me?
Ah, I can hear you now.
I was there. I was just on mute. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine.
All right, so I'm gonna go on to the next one. What is your take on a gender war in the Black community?
Oh, okay. So I will say this. I do believe that it is. I will say this. I will say it's like 60-40 right now. And I feel like a lot of the issue, like the big 60 part is on Black women. I will say that much. But the 40%, I will not lie. I feel like there's a lot of BS that goes on. I don't like the fact, I will say this. How do I word this? Because I'm trying to be careful with my words right now.
No,
Um,
speak what's on your mind. It's okay. They're gonna still love you regardless. So it's
Okay.
okay.
Well, if I can speak what's on my mind, forgive me. I am from the military, so I'm used to cursing like a sailor, but it's pissing me the fuck off, to be honest. Like, I hate the bullshit. I hate
Mhm.
how dysfunctional we are. And it's like, god damn, like sometimes it makes me want to pull out like a stick and beat people on the head, because I feel like a lot of this shit that is going on is happening because a lot of motherfuckers don't have common fucking sense. And I'm like, I just want to get a stick and brand it with common sense and just beat fucking people, because I'm like, a lot of the situations that's going on could be fucking avoided if you had
Right.
common fucking sense.
So you say it's both men and women.
Yes, I do believe that it is both men and women, but I feel like most of the issues is falling on women. I will not deny that, because some of these women out here they tripping, Melanie.
Oh,
They
I,
are
I see it.
they
Believe
are
me, I see it.
tripping. They are tripping, and I can't, as a woman, I see what goes on, and I can't put all the fault on women, because I'm like, I do see the fucky shit that some men do also. So I'm like, but I see what's going on. I don't like it. It's one of those things where it's just gonna have to take a shift in culture for it to honestly change.
Right. So can you elaborate on the things that the men are doing, since like 95% of my audience are men. Maybe they need to hear this too. So
Okay. Okay.
so let them
So,
know, what do you think the men are doing wrong?
okay. So in my humble opinion, what's going wrong with men is simply you're being hypocritical, and you're partaking in the stuff that you don't like. So it boggles my mind when I'm sitting up here. So I'm going to use Platinum as an example, because I was on Platinum's live last night. So we were
Okay.
talking about Des Dior, the woman that's with Future, right? A
Hmm.
lot of people would agree that Des Dior is a ratchet woman. Or even if you take someone like Amber Rose or someone like that, you have a lot of men who will still go out and smash these women and not wife them. The problem isn't that you're not wifing them, it's the fact that you're smashing them, and you're still giving them that validation to where there's no incentive to change. In addition, that you have a lot of men, like I said, that are contributing to the problem. So I'm like, if you see these ratchet hood chicks, stop fucking them. Please.
Okay. So their problem is they talk so much about the Black women and their issues, yet they're fucking them.
Yes.
they're
And
not they're not just like saying, okay, let me just leave these women alone completely. They're actually playing into the problem.
yeah, because you hear them say a lot of the times, like, yeah, I'll fuck her. I won't wife her, but I'll fuck her. And I'm like, but you fucking her is not giving her the incentive to change, because guess what she's gonna say? So what, nigga, you fuck me.
Right.
And I'm
That's
like,
a good point, though. That's a different point of view, but that's a good point.
so that's why I was like, I can't really say anything about that. And two, you do have a lot of men in this section that cap, because like I said, Platinum is a perfect example. If you want to go and just hear some of the craziness that goes on, like, you have men in there who are like, yeah, I got like 2 3 baby mamas. And I'm like, so you're a serial impregnator and you don't see how you feed into the problem?
But don't they say like 80% of, what is it, 80% of Black men? Oh, I'm sorry, am I wrong? Did you ever hear the percentage of Black men who don't have children?
Yes, I hear that, and for that I have to say, like, in my humble opinion, the men that are not sleeping with black women, like I have to see that statistic reasonably, because I do have an idea of what type of man I feel like isn't getting play. But the reality is, like, I'm gonna be honest, you have some dudes out here who are getting play who should not be getting play. And that's on the women. Like, you have some dudes out here whose heads are completely gassed up and they are low tier men. I'm sorry. Like, I'm talking
Right.
about you taking a spoon and scraping the bottom of the barrel.
So it's basically the Pookies and Ray Rays you're talking about, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yes. Like,
Not all men.
yeah.
So that's the biggest problem with men. What else is a problem they have?
That's really, realistically, other than being in this space, that's the only one that I can really see right now. Other than just like some men are hypocritical, but I'm like, everybody has their hypocritical point, so I really can't judge people off of that. But I try to work as much as I can to not be that, and I look at context. A lot of people don't look at context. So
Right, you got that right. So how do you think black women can change the way people look at them?
I think I answered that question on Obsidian's panel, because he said, and that ties back into the question of what do black women owe the black community. And first and foremost, I feel like first, black women owe the community healthy families, which means that you're not out here procreating with Pookies and Ray Rays. You're taking the time to actually be a maternal figure and raise your children with the best possible outcome. And the best possible outcome is for you to be married and have that father figure in the home, which means that you take the time, you properly vet these men to find the right husband that you know is not going to do you wrong. Because a lot of the times when we talk about submission, I think that one of the things that I always said, which made me fearful, was I was afraid of submitting because I worried about possible abuse, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Makes a lot of
So as a woman, you have to, like, my thing I always put out to women who get married, if you don't trust the man that you're with to be submissive with, why are you with him? And that's something I had to work and learn to let go of, is to say, okay, look, I'm trusting in my decision. I made sure I vet my husband properly. I should not have any fears about submitting to this man.
Right. Yeah, because I hear a lot of black women saying he has to earn submission. Like, I hear that so much. And how long you been with him? For a year? And he still have to earn submission? It doesn't make any sense.
I get it. I get what you're saying, but I do, and to that I do say willingly, respectfully, men in some cases with the stuff that's going on, men do have to earn submission. Now there's different levels of submission. Let's not get that twisted. Like, for example, as a woman, I try to practice being in my feminine state a lot, which means that I am in a submissive state to men. But that doesn't mean that you, just because you're a man, I'm just going to do whatever you say and not speak. So there's certain levels of submission that comes. Like, for me, if I meet a random man, he will always have my respect utmost at the beginning. Now, if you do
Mm-hmm.
something crazy to revoke that, then that's on you. That is my level of submission I owe you, being a man that I am not married to, is that respect.
Mm-hmm.
As we start, and so that's the first step. So let's say I wasn't married, that would be my first step. My second step is, yes, I can listen, listen to what you say, but I'm not going to let you lead me down a crazy path, which means at certain times I will hold my tongue, I will be peaceful, I won't be combative, even though in my mind I'm like, okay, this isn't making any sense to me, maybe I should speak up, maybe I should do this. I'll hold my tongue and see how you lead.
Right. I mean, but a lot of women are getting with, like you said, Pookies and Ray Rays, men that can't lead. They're not capable of leading. And you should know who you're getting with before you say, hey, we're in a relationship, and before you get married. So I think you should submit to your man from day one, in my opinion. Like,
I,
after all the dates and everything, and you get to know him, when you guys say you're in a relationship, that's the day you should start submitting, in my opinion.
I agree to that. I can see where you're coming from, because I had to take a step back. I was like, okay, what is she getting to? Because for me, I think too, and that's the reason why I say you have to be careful as a woman who you submit to, because a lot of times that submitting could be a double-edged sword and could be used against you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a lot of nuance that doesn't happen in conversations when it comes to women and submitting, because I've seen women who have submitted to men who have been the utmost loyal type of woman. They listen to what their man has to say, and their man just runs amok with it.
Right.
So I'm like, and a lot of times we criticize that woman by being like, well, she should have did this, she should have did that. But I'm like, but she's in such a submissive state that for her, that'll be going against her nature.
Yeah, because some women, do you believe that some women can be naturally submissive all the time? Or do
Yeah,
you think it's something a woman can just turn on and off?
I believe that I believe that both statements are true. You have some women that are like, yeah, if I need to submit, I can submit. I can be submissive, but it's going to take the right type of man to get me to submit. While you also have women who are like, I'm naturally submissive, so I won't raise my voice. I won't say anything. He could damn near run us off a cliff, and I will not object to it.
Right. And a lot of people say those are the women who get taken advantage of the most.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, and I can't really say it's sad because at some point you have to have a healthy medium. You have to have a healthy medium, and that's what I had to learn, how to have that
Mhm.
healthy medium of, okay, Quiana, you're starting to get in your feelings. You need to hold your tongue, and that's a hard thing to do as a woman, is knowing when to check yourself. You know what I mean? Because don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, there's a lot of times in this space where I'm just kind of like, I want to say something, but I'm like, nope, you have to let it slide. You can't,
Hmm.
you can't do it. Bite
Yep.
that tongue, get off the string, do what you got to do.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is a man's space. So we got to kind of respect what they're saying. And I understand that you don't want to say the wrong thing because it's easy for them to run you out of the space. So yeah, I do understand that
Yep. So
completely. So okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Have you ever experienced colorism?
I did. I will say that I did, but at the same time, it's one of those things that is expected to be expected. I know a lot of men in the space don't really believe in colorism from what I've seen, but it's a difference between a black man and a black woman facing colorism, because as we know, it's one of those conversations that, depending on who you have the conversation with, either the conversation can take place or it's just going to be a bunch of downplay.
Right. So I mean, who? So you said you think women receive colorism more than men?
I do believe that, yes, I do believe that black women experience more colorism than men. And I think that where men don't see it as a negative thing, I don't think that people actually take into accountability how words can truly affect someone, especially when they're younger.
Right. Exactly. And it doesn't really matter if you're light skin or dark skin. We all experience it. Caramel, brown skin, whatever.
Yep.
We all go through it. Um, I wanted to say something. Oh, so do you think a majority of black men are colorists?
I don't believe that a majority of black men are colorists. No, I just feel like the few that are extremely vocal.
Right. Because I've even heard black men say, I don't want no black butt. Because they say a lot of women have a lot of black women, brown skin and dark skin, have black butts. I mean, the first time I heard that, it tripped me out. So, and they say, oh, I'd rather have, a light skin or Latina. But a lot of men in this space say these women are just crybabies. What's your opinion on that? Do you think they're crybabies? Or do you think this is just truly the black men's preference?
I will say it's a bit of both. I do believe that you have some women that bolster the idea of colorism to where they make it seem like it's this just abhorrent monster that's been chasing them down all their life. I don't believe like it to that extent, but I will not discount the acts that are actually happening, if that makes sense. Like, you do have people who go and they exaggerate their colorism stories and things like that. I've experienced colorism, but I would say to the point to where it's like, I'm glad I experienced it because that let me know where the guy's head was sitting. So like, for example, when I was in tech school, I had one dude that I thought was pretty cool, that me and him were hanging out, and he said something that kind of was a red flag to me, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then I was like, I'm gonna let it.
Did she borg out or is that me?
Huh?
I think you're borging. I don't know if that's me or you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, like for example, like I experienced colorism in like I want to say like middle school, and like when I first joined the military, when I was first out on the dating scene and things like that, when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna find me somebody. But other than that, it's like I never had really any type of, well, I don't know if you would count that, but I always ran it off as just people making jokes.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. You went out a
Okay.
little bit.
So yeah, because like let's not get let's let and I think that's where like that's why I said it's really adults that have to have that conversation about colorism, because it's very, in some cases it's very obvious, it's very out and open to see. In other cases it's real subtle. So
Yeah, because a lot of people say it's just preference, which I do believe a majority of it is preference. But how can you tell whether it's like if it's preference or not? Like, how,
unfortunately that comes down to the individual. It really does come down to the individual, because you do have some men that have a preference, just like you have women that have a preference. I'm not going to front, I had a preference. I expected to get with a man of my complexion who was bigger than me being 87 pounds at the time. That was not difficult. That was
right?
my preference. I wanted someone that was bigger than me, and that was dark like me. So for me, it wasn't hard, but I know that some people have more extreme preferences where they're like, I only want this type of hair, I only want this type of look. They got to have hazel eyes, they got to have this. It's whatever people are attracted to. Now, I will say this, and I don't know how many feathers I'm going to ruffle by saying this, but if your preference exists is because you don't want to be associated with a certain type of woman. I'm not even going to say a certain type. Let me just put it in plain context. If you date women just simply and your basis is I don't date I date white women because black women this that and the third, to me that's not a preference. If the only reason why you're dating this person is because you feel this strongly about black women, then it's different if you say I only date white girls, and I go, cool. Question: why do you only date white girls? You could sit there and say, well, I grew up in a community full of white women, and this is just what I'm attracted to, that's what I grew up with. I'm like, cool, that's understandable. But if I ask you about your preference and you say, well, I don't like this because ghetto black bitches, then I'm like, okay. And then I'm just gonna leave it at that, and more than likely me and you won't associate.
Right. So Dusty said something. He said black women started colorism. I do kind of agree with that because of the experiences I had growing up with my hair. It was curly. A dark skinned woman cut it just because, I've been through a lot of things like that as well. Um, I do think that a lot of black women do want to have lighter skinned babies. That's why they date interracially or they get the lightest man to have baby with so they can have the prettiest hair. I do believe that.
I do believe it. I can see how black women have played into creating colorism. I can definitely see that. But I also believe that too, that colorism wouldn't be as prominent if people didn't enforce those type of standards, especially when it comes to dating. Like we all like, and I think that's something that's a nuanced conversation that a lot of people don't talk about, is how the standards of looks change over time. So where something could have been in one at 10 years ago, it's no longer seen as pretty. You get what I'm saying? Like even if you take the women from like the 90s eras, you look at the video vixens of then and compare them today. The video vixens of the 90s, they all came in like a variety of shapes, sizes, all that. But they
Right.
were all really pretty. They were all supernatural. Where when you're looking at video vixens today, they all tend to have the same type of features. There's no differentiation. You really can't tell them apart.
Right. You're saying they're all light skinned, with bad bitch surgery, pretty, yeah,
Yeah, you
pretty
tend to
hair.
notice they all
All hair
tend to be the same.
I
Like if
mean,
you put
but
them in a,
I mean
you
like
can't.
finer, like
Hello.
right. They all have that fine hair.
Yeah. So
Oh, can
it's
you hear
just
me? I'm
all
sorry. Did I cut you off?
no, no, no. I
Go
think
ahead,
it
babe.
was me. I think it was me. But no, it's one of those type of things, and that's to be expected as time changes. I'm pretty sure in 10 years the standard of today won't even be relevant.
I don't think so. But I did recognize that they don't have as many dark skin and brown skin women as they used to back in like the early 2000s, the late 90s. I mean, that's all changed now. And also, I noticed a lot of black women gain so much weight these days. Like they're like 80 pounds overweight.
Ye-
Did you notice that?
Yes, yes, and I'm happy to see, like, I can honestly see, and shout out to, like, to Kevin Samuels, because ever since he's hit the block, I have noticed that there has been an uptick in women going to the gym, and a lot of more women are starting to take care of what they're looking like, and I see it happening. It's not explosive, but it's very much gradual, and there's so much that plays into that ideology of just women gaining weight, because you have some women who are, because like I'm gonna be honest, I was that type of girl that thought, even though I'm only 87 pounds, maybe I should eat more. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should gain weight. And I don't know if that possibly played into that ideology of just it's just bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. But a lot now. One thing I did see was a lot of black women. Because I used to be about 80 pounds myself, 70, 80 pounds. And a lot of black women would say, you need to put some meat on your bones. You way too skinny.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
right. And it would make me feel so bad. And I came to my mom. I'm like, Mommy, I'm skinny. Nobody wants me. I need to get thick. My mom was like, thick? Oh no, like don't listen to that. And these were always the fattest of the fattest women telling me this.
Oh my God, I remember that. I remember because like I used to sit in school and some girls used to come and like put their arm around their hand around my arm and be like, you need a bird. Like, especially because like my family's military, so we moved to the South. Well, so where in California, it was very common to see very skinny girl. When I moved to the South, oh my God, when I say I had so many insecurities because they had girls that were walking around with just like huge booties
Oh yeah.
sitting there and they're like they used to tell me like the I remember the first day in the cafeteria, one of the lunch ladies was like, you need to eat, and she gave me like double servings of food, and I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They would tell me that I look sick. Mind you, I had a cute little Coke bottle shape. I was just thin, but they would be like, "Are you sick? Are you okay?" And these are women 20 years older than me asking me that. And usually their daughters be like big fat butterballs. So I'll just be like, "I'm fine. I just don't eat everything." So yeah, it was very painful growing up going through that. And I know same for you.
Yeah, because I didn't have a Coke bottle shape. I was built like plank. I'm not
Yeah.
even going around. I was built like a plank board.
But you know what? That's better than being way overweight. It's healthier than being way overweight as well.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody asked me how tall was I. Well, I'm 5'2" now, so I was probably like 4'9", 4'8". I've always been short. So at my height, I'm only supposed to be like 120, 125. I'm 10 pounds overweight now. I'm 135. So yeah, back then I was like probably like 80 pounds, 70, who knows, maybe even 75 pounds, but I was cute. But even some men would tell me I need to gain weight too.
Yeah, I had that because like some people used to, especially like when I started JRTC, and when you do ROTC in high school, you have to have like your uniform has to fit you. So that was even worse because then people really saw how small I was. And
Hmm.
growing up in high school, I want to say like high school, I was probably like 4'11" because I'm 5'2" now, and I'm like, man, I went through it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I went through it.
I can imagine. There's a lot of bullies back then. But you know what it was that I'm starting to realize? It was their insecurities. They were jealous of me. They wished they looked like us, and they didn't. So that's basically what that was. So, that's what I would tell young girls who's getting bullied now. Like, don't pay no mind to them. They're just jealous of you. Just stay healthy, stay in shape, and one day you'll find a man. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you would say the same thing.
Yeah, I do, and I tell that because like I have a female employee who's on the smaller side, and I tell her straight up, like she be like, "You think I need a booty?" I'm like, "Your booty's perfectly fine." I was like, "You're perfectly fine the way you are. No, you don't need to eat. No, you don't need to do all that. Just stay the way you are. Enjoy it while you can."
Right, because that's going to go away one day. I
Yeah,
wish.
and this,
I
yep.
wish. Yeah, so, what is your take on feminism?
Don't even get me started on feminism. I do not like first what okay, I don't know. I think they called it like first wave feminism. Like the first wave of feminism I could understand, which was what? The right to vote, the right for women to own things or whatever, yada yada yada. Once
Right.
that was good, I'm like, great. All this weird shit that's going on now where you got girls running around with coochie hats on. I'm
Coochie.
just like
I can't.
I can't fuck with it. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, it's really bad now. And they want equal rights, but do they really want equal rights? Do they
No,
really want to go through what men go through every day? They have
no.
it hard. We have it easy. Like, you know
I
what I mean?
I understand completely where you're coming from. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain things that, like me personally, as a woman, I feel like, hey, there's little things that we can do in the society to help things be better for women. But I'm like, most of this shit that they talking about is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff that they're talking about is absolute bullshit. And I'm just sitting up here like, you won't believe how many women like, oh, I get called out like I'm on Facebook and some of the chat rooms I go into like on Facebook you have these feminist women and I get into debates with them all the time and I'm like your logic is not adding up. You sound ridiculous and stupid as fuck. And then they end up telling me that I like get this Melanie. I have never been told that I'm a pick me, but what I have been told was that I have a superiority complex because I did not make mistakes.
Really?
Yes, I had one woman tell me, go out and become a single mother and then come talk to me. And I'm like, why would I do that?
Right. Like, I no words. I don't have no words for that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the type of weird logic that they be on. And I'd be like, excuse me? And they're like literally I told one woman was like, you have a superiority complex because you're married. And I'm like, so because I made right decisions in my life, I have a superiority complex. And she's like, yes, you need to struggle. And I'm like, absolutely not.
It makes no sense. It's really sad, and that's one thing I do love about the manosphere. They call them out. They call all of this out, and it's going mainstream right now. With Kevin Samuels, and I notice a lot of celebrities are seeing this. We need more women like us to get the word out to the young women, because this needs to stop.
Oh yeah. And it's more or less on us to upholding a certain type of image to where it makes the young girls also say like, "Hey, I want to be like these women. I don't want to be like these women over here with like 3 kids and don't know who their baby dad is. Let me get like the women over here who are married, who are established, who have their homes, who have wealth, and they're having a good healthy relationship with their husbands."
Exactly. And if you don't have a husband, prepare yourself for one. You know, that's why I feel like Game Changer took the word pick me and made it a positive thing.
To,
This is women who want to be picked.
to
So,
me,
oh,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
be
Sorry.
pick me was always a positive term. The problem is where you have women who are trying to shame women because they want something healthy. And like as I said, when I get into arguments with those women, I would always tell them, "You're in love with toxicity. Just admit it. You don't know what
Hmm.
an actual healthy relationship is, so you rather attack something that's healthy for you um than make the change to make yourself better." Because even like I said, I always advocate for like young girls to get married. So even like my younger employees, they come up to me and they'll sit down and they'll ask me, "What is it like to be married?" And I'm like, I don't tell them that it's sugar honey iced tea. I tell them, look, it's work. It is work, but
Right.
you have to work for things that you truly want. And I was like, it may look, yes, me and my husband may look like on the outside that we have this great relationship that's just naturally there. But you have to put in the work, time, and dedication. There's compromises and sacrifices that have to be made.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just want to address what Game Changer said. He says, why they need to vote. I think that's for you. He says,
Huh.
why do women need to vote?
I mean, there are certain things in bills that that are allocated towards women that I feel like we have the right to vote for. I wouldn't see why you wouldn't allow women to vote. To me, that's weird. We're a part of this society too. Do we not have a say in what goes on?
Right. But I know back in the days, I guess when they were more traditional, women just stayed home and took care of the family and let the men vote for everything. And I know Game Changer, he's very traditional. Um, do you consider yourself to be traditional as well?
Unfortunately, I would like to, but I know that I don't fall into that category of a traditional wife.
Right. I get what you're saying.
I would like to, but I know that I don't fall into the category of a traditional wife simply for the fact being it's like I'm not a stay at home mom. There's elements to our relationship that make it to where that 100% traditional is not a thing. I will say that we're probably like 70-30% traditional, where yes, I do stay at home, I do cook, I do clean, I do make sure my family's taken care of, but I also realize in today's society that both parents, in some cases, need to work. So I'm out there. I'm running the. Luckily for us, we have a business. But if we didn't have a business, more than likely I would have a job right now because I do know to function here in the States, majority of households do require both parents to have a job.
Yes, it does. And I do agree with you on that. It is good for both to work. But the best thing is to own a business like you and him did.
Mm.
Y'all made the perfect move. So, yeah. Hold on 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, I just need to fix. It said I needed to move closer to my router. I feel bad. It's like a struggle stream today. I really do
It's fine.
apologize.
Oh Lord, Melody said struggle stream. No.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Why do you think there's so many single mothers in our communities?
Because they don't know how to make proper decisions. I'm gonna be honest. They don't know how to make proper decisions. And you have a lot of women validating their foolery.
Exactly. That's a perfect answer. And a lot of women, they're just, I don't know how to, they say they don't want to marry these men, but yet they can give them a baby. I never understood that.
That logic makes no sense to me either because I literally had that debate with one woman before. I said, so you're telling me you're willing to sit here, gap your fucking legs open and conceive a child that you have to be stuck with technically for the rest of your fucking life, because even at the age of 18 they move out, that you're still their mother, but you can't make a commitment to trust me, I've had that conversation and it hurts my head, and I do not give conversations like that energy anymore. I just call them stupid.
That's it.
You don't understand how many women I have debated that subject with, and it like I go into a mini rage, and my husband laughs at me because I'm walking around the house upset. My husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "This stupid bitch."
Yeah, I know it really makes you mad.
And then I'm just over here washing dishes, talking to myself like a crazy woman about this random woman.
It's crazy. And them, it's like, what, like this is what they're doing. They're all making babies with the same group of men, like you said earlier.
Yes.
That's what they're doing. And it's like one man can have like 6 baby mamas. And it's embarrassing.
And it sucks because I really do want women to take more responsibility. And I'm like, use a fucking condom. Like, use a fucking condom. If you're gonna be, and my thing is this: like, if you as a woman you want to do that, great. But if you gonna allow a dude to pump and dump responsibly. Stop letting them nut in you raw, or at least fuck it. Go to the doctor and have them put the goddamn Moderna in you, or put something in your arm if you can't remember to take the pill every goddamn day.
That's
Like,
it. Or get the shot. There's so many forms of birth control out there.
Yes, and I'm just like, and I tell men all the time too. I'm like, please, even in those situations, like realistically, you can't even trust half these women too. You have to take the time to protect yourself. If you know, like, I get it. If you're like, hey, I just want to fuck on her with a condom.
Right. Exactly. And plus, it's disgusting. HIV does exist. Herpes does exist.
Yes, it
I
does.
mean, but these women don't care. And,
No,
and it's like they only knew the man for like 2 weeks and they're already pregnant by him.
I will never understand that. I will never understand that.
Never understand that. And it's only, I'm not going to say it's only the women here in America, but women in other countries, they don't really do this.
Well, that's because women in America are the other women in their community hold them to a higher standard and they will be shamed, which is what I feel like needs to be brought back. You need to be shamed.
Mm-hmm.
You will be shamed.
Exactly.
You
And you
will be.
said earlier, wait, am I Borgin or is that you? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's me. That's me. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, they need to be shamed. And they basically need, like you said, I do agree with that. Men, y'all need to stop sleeping with them. That's what Queen said. And I mean, I do agree with that. But I also agree with the men when they say it's not our job to make the black women feel like, you know, they don't need to do this. They should do that on their own.
They should. They should. It's a combination of different factors that add into it. And I always say this, like, consequences, rather good or bad, happens because of people's actions. And unfortunately, you have to take a responsibility and accountability for the actions and the roles that you play. So that's why I always said, like, hey, you want to stop these ratchet women? Realistically, that's gonna have to fall on men. Stop fucking these ratchet bitches.
That's it.
And for these ratchet bitches, you complaining about these niggas knocking you up and doing all this other shit. One, don't fuck niggas like that. Or two, if you are and you're just like, because I've heard women give the craziest excuse. Like, I heard one woman in one thing, she was like, oh, well, he has a big dick. I'm like, so you mean to tell me you're fucking this dude because he has a big dick and you don't care how bummy he is?
They don't care.
It hurts my head. Like, even thinking about it right now, I'm getting a headache.
Exactly. Exactly. So, do you mind if I drop this link and have people come up?
No, no, absolutely. They can come up.
Okay, so guys, whoever want to come up and ask Queen questions, hit the link. So, yeah, hit the link and ask her anything. I'm sure she wouldn't mind answering it. And make sure you guys hit that like button. Like, subscribe, and share. Because I'm on my way to 1K and I think I need what, 30 more subscribers. So make sure y'all hit that bell. And as soon as I get to 1K, I promise you guys, I'm going to have a giveaway. We're going to have a party. We're going to have a lot of fun. So hit the subscribe button. Okay, so let me drop the link again. All right. So let me see if anybody is saying anything in the chat. Maybe we can start with those questions.
You're gonna go get them? Okay, thank you.
Let me see if anyone has something to say.
I told him we would take him to Chuck E. Cheese today, so we can take him after we're done. Yeah, we're gonna take.
Hold on. Let me check. Hold on 1 minute.
All right.
I'm doing everything from the phone, so bear with me.
Oh no, I understand. I'm on StreamYard on my phone too. When I first
Yeah,
did my anime debate, I was on my phone. I was like, "What is going
exactly. It's not easy. Okay, so let me read these. Thank you so much, Chowhound. Thanks for the cash up. I appreciate you. Thank you, little big Nate. Appreciate you. He says, for do your thing, baby girl. I appreciate it. Okay, so make sure you guys are hitting the link. Come up and ask me or Queen questions.
And this also pertains to anime too. So if anybody, I don't want to take over your stream, Melanie, but if anybody wants to ask me anything about anime, because I saw the comments rolling with a bunch of different anime questions, I could not catch all of them. But if y'all want to even come up and just ask me quick questions about anime, I'm more than willing to answer that too.
Well, yeah, this stream is all about you. So everything we talked about, they're going to ask you. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we have Game Changer. Hi, Game Changer.
Hey, what's going on, Melody?
Nothing much.
Hello, Game Changer.
Hey, how you doing, Queen Q?
I'm doing good. I'm going to do good. Is your day going well?
Yeah, I can't complain.
Good, good.
So the reason why I was saying about the voting thing is because I don't think that a woman should have a voice separate from a family's voice. You see, the reason why they didn't allow women to vote back in the day is not that they really didn't allow them to vote, even though they legally couldn't. What they were saying was, listen, you're one household. And really, since a married couple, and back then everybody past 14 was married, in a situation with a married couple, you're speaking for the house. You're not really speaking for yourself. And what happened since women got the right to vote is they started voting for themselves and not for the house. And bills were passed that directly affect women and put women against men. You know, when they really shouldn't be seen as one separate or two separate things. They should be seen as a family. So as part of showing women as something different than a unit, a portion of a family, and men is also a portion of a family as well. You know, giving them the right to vote is saying, like, look, this is separate, and there is a possibility that you're going to vote different than your husband. But back in the day, it just seemed redundant. I mean, you know, like you have a Democratic household here, you have a Republican household here. What's the difference? One house will vote Democrat with 2 votes, and another house will vote Republican with 2 votes. It's the same as 1-to-1. So that's why, to me, it doesn't really make sense for women to have the right to vote. It really just encourages single women, because that's the only time it does make sense.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from. I guess it's just a difference in opinion, because I do realize that times change. And unfortunately, yeah, that could have been a huge contributing factor into what's going on today.
Yeah.
I'm referring to today. Like, I feel like, yes, women have the right to vote for certain things. I get it. But other than that, realistically, with the whole feminism stuff, I don't agree with. And that's why I said what I said. Like, I feel like it's all within moderation and consideration. Like, of course, we're women, we're humans, we have humanity, we're afforded certain rights. But other than the stuff that I said, what's going on today, yeah, I'm like, they tripping. But I can see where you're coming from.
Okay, thank you. And also, as far as the solution to not sleeping with them, like, listen, because I sleep with women who I have no long-term desire towards. And that's for a number of reasons. Perhaps they have too many kids. Perhaps their personality just don't mesh. Perhaps they're simply not too bright in a way, or a number of things. However, they are physically qualified. They meet the physical requirement of receiving my penis. So I do feel that I am not doing wrong by sleeping with attractive women whose personality I don't necessarily agree with. Basically, what I'm saying by that is that you meet the physical criteria for my penis. However, you didn't pass the verbal. You didn't pass the verbal. You didn't pass the written exam. You passed the physical, but you didn't pass the written exam. And that's why, in writing, you will not be my wife or not. Now, part of the reason, and this is a matter of diminished IQ when it comes to this. If she thinks that receiving penis means that she's wifey material, then that's why she's not wifey material, and therefore she's doomed. She is doomed. However, in her domicity, I do not want her to take an attractive woman's vagina away from me in the process. That's something I refuse. She's damned if she do and damned if she don't. If she walks around thinking that, oh, something is wrong with me because, or everything is okay because men are willing to put their penis in my vagina, she is doomed. There's nothing you can do about her but accept the pleasures of attractive woman vagina until she dies. Or until she becomes less attractive, whichever happens first. So yeah, I don't think that we are doing harm to a woman like that. I think that nature has done harm to a woman like that. I mean, like that's kind of like a man saying, oh, women like me because they take my money. Like, I mean, for a woman to say that, oh yes, men like me because they're willing to put my penis in them is like, what? Like, yeah, you keep thinking that. Just stay on your knees while you think that. Like, what do you do with somebody like that besides put your penis in their mouth? I'm asking. This is a question. What do you do with somebody like that besides put their penis in their mouth? Because if you didn't put it, it's not like she's going to get brighter. It's not like she's going to say, something. Maybe I shouldn't throw pancakes at IHOP, and perhaps I should just eat it with a fork and knife like a regular human being. I don't think that would be the case. I think that she's just going to circle and look for a penis.
Okay. To that I would say, hey, if it works for you, I love it. But me being who I am and what I see for me, I see it as counterproductive. You don't see it as counterproductive. But at that point, I don't know. I don't know how to feel towards that, because I'm like, you're gonna do it irregardless of what I think. So I really don't have an opinion on it. But all I can do is say, hey, if you like it, I love it, and that's the way you want to conduct yourself, then that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against that.
I will like to say that, and this is not to you, this is to the fellas, that sex with attractive women is never counterproductive. It produces pleasure. It produces sexual pleasure. So yeah, just throwing that out there. Yeah, I'm done.
I think it's more like how you act when you get sex from attractive women. Like for example, you see how the Sims, when they get pussy from a highly attractive female, he worship her in a certain way that he will do whatever that woman says. Versus the guy that's just being his mass and core, he ain't putting in much work, and she's gonna give him the pussy for free. But the one that's gravitating to her, telling her what she want to hear, and all that mess. And some of these guys don't even get pussy, but they try to get pussy pandering points from these females and everything. They hype these females up to a certain degree that, I'm the shit. You see how toxic they act even more and more. So
depending on how attractive she is the shit, and should be treated accordingly.
Yes.
Her physical appearance is a reflection on how much I want to put my penis in her.
Of course, yeah. But what's that work you're gonna put in to get into?
It depends on exactly how attractive she is. However, that has little bearing on that has little bearing. You see, there's Madonna whore. Men have what's called the Madonna whore complex, meaning that we put women into two categories: the Madonna or the whore. Attractive women fall into either of those two categories. Now, if she's not a Madonna, then she has. I'm still hiring for whores. I'm still hiring for whores, and yes, she can be my whore if she meets the physical criteria. I see nothing wrong with it. However, a woman who seeks comfort in the whore zone, and she actually thinks she's a wife, that's her own stupidity.
I think maybe I need to be in detail, and I think she's alluded because she's in the BDSM lifestyle, queen. Are you gonna make her the sub to your penis, or are you gonna? And you being a dominating man, or is it going to be reversed? That's why I'm actually alluding.
No.
The sense is actually being submissive towards these females. No, that's
disrespect. Okay.
No, disrespectful way. I'm not being.
No, because it works because you're conflating subs with whores. Those are two completely different things. That's disrespectful to a woman sub in BDSM. Yes, it is.
There's some dominating, being a sub, attractive females also too, and some sub men also too in the BDSM lifestyle.
No, I get it, but what I'm saying is being a BDSM sub does not make you a whore. You can be a sub and or a wife. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we got some dudes.
So what I'm saying is it doesn't have anything to do with BDSM. Some women are just ill qualified for wifiness. They just are, and not fucking them isn't going to make them wife material. Like
I'm talking about the working act.
There is a zone, Mel. There is a zone called good enough to bed, not good enough to wed. Now, a woman who's both fat and obnoxious is most certainly not either. She's not good enough to bed or wed. However, a woman who's attractive yet, a complete and total, take Halle Berry, a young Halle Berry. That is the example of a woman who is, or excuse me, who was good enough to bed, however, not good enough to wed, as her track record proves. Now,
But you see what a lot of dudes is doing now, though. So too, women like Halle Berry.
Would it have solved the problem if the guys did not bed Halle Berry? And the answer to that is no. No, it wouldn't have. It would have just been a waste of young Halle Berry pussy.
Yeah, but can you explain to them what you mean by that, Queen? Because maybe they're not understanding.
I actually wanted to explain it, but I'll let she finish.
Wait, yeah, let Queen explain.
Go ahead.
So all that I was saying was basically, if you expect overall for the image of Black women to change and for them to turn away from this, in some way you have to stop validating them. And one of the ways that a lot of these women get validation is through sex. You give them sex, which means, hey, I don't have an incentive to change because at the end of the day, these men will still fuck me. There's a potential for pregnancy. So that's all that I was saying. That's one way that I imagine.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I get it, Queen. Yeah, because I understand what she was meaning. What she was. Let me respond. She's actually meaning the possibility of sets also too, because we got a lot of dudes out there that's in hope of getting a possibility set to these females. So what they do, they pander to them, they pay their bills, they worship them, take them out to dates, and in hopes of getting set, but they don't get nothing in return. And you see why a lot of females got this toxic attitude the way they are. They are the majority of men.
So
like the old saying is, alpha fucks, beta bucks.
Well, what I want to say, I see what you're saying, but what I want to say to what Queen was saying, is that the man is, by having sex with a woman, he's validating her sexual function. Could you please mute up, Wakanda? He's validating her sexual function, not her. Now, if a woman cannot separate her value from her sexual function, her entire feminine value from her sexual function, then she's lost. Her inability, because she'll just say, I'm just sexually invalid. And she will seek for sexual validation, not validation of her femininity in its entirety. Her inability to separate the two means that she is a lost soul. She's a lost soul. However, her body is there and it feels like attractive woman vagina. So I say, go for it, as long as she's attractive. And don't validate unattractive woman, fellas.
Yeah,
I don't understand that part, the unattractive. But see, that's the problem. We got some that do that also too, with unattractive women. Which is why we got too many females, attractive and non-attractive, that get into their head.
Did he break up?
Can you hear me?
Oh, well, hold on, because Pablo was next. I want him to ask his question, but Mel, you can finish saying what you were saying, and then we'll move on to Pablo.
No, I was actually, finished agreeing with Game Changer. The last point was I was adding to it, but don't mess with attractive females. But this is the problem. We got attractive and unattractive females that are getting validation from too many simps out there that is just desperate for females, for pussy, all that. So, that's the problem why we got a lot of these females acting the way they are these days.
Right, exactly. Well, thanks for that, guys. So we're gonna have Pablo. Hey, Pablo.
Hey, what's going on? Enjoy the show today. Thanks for having you two young ladies on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to a little bit of what Game Changer was saying, then I'll go into what I really call for. Men have always had queens and concubines. We've always had queens and concubines. That's how men work. And this is what he speaks to the duality of men. We have the Madonna and the whore. If we can't have one, we'll have the other or both. So men are going to do both. That's just kind of how this works. Now, to what you young ladies were talking about in women calling you skinny and saying you need to get a sandwich and all that kind of stuff. Being an older guy, I can promise you, when you go back to these high school reunions 20, 30 years later, the girls who were the brick houses, who had all the tits and ass at 14 and 15, they're not going to look like that when you show back up. They're going to be those big girls telling you that you need to gain weight, because they grew up with the belief that I have this body and this is how it's going to be forever. I'm going to be hot forever. They have that mentality.
Right.
And right, and you ladies, I hope you do realize that your body is a gift that must be maintained over a lifetime, not just a moment in time. And so even when you have children and stuff like that, my uncle used to have a saying. He said, nephew, he said, don't marry a brick house because she's bound to expand outside the line.
Mm.
I agree with that.
And right. And what that means is if you marry one of these girls who are already stacked to the limit, what's going to happen when you have children and she gets to be 40, 45, 50 years old? She's not going to maintain that weight, not in this culture. Now, I go other places where exercise and walking and, you know, fast food are not really a big thing. They're not easily accessible. And those women are able to maintain themselves and still have a nice body at 45. Even I've seen some 50-year-olds in Colombia with great bodies. But that's not here. So here you have to work at it. And the problem is a lot of black women in Black America, they don't want to work at it. They feel, once they've had a child or whatever, that's it. They're good, and they let themselves go. Don't be like that. Maintain your body over a lifetime, and that's all I got. As far as one more thing, as far as the single motherhood in other countries, they have countries like Colombia and DL and Dominican Republic do have a lot of unwed mothers. But here's the difference. They have a lot higher rate of cohabitation, meaning when women have a child with a man, although they might not go down to the courthouse and get married, they live together at a higher rate than they do here in the U.S. in Black America, right? So they're cohabitating more. The other part is even when they have a child and they're not cohabitating, they're usually living in a house with 2 or 3 other generations of family. So there's an uncle, there's a grandfather, there's a brother, there's always some other man in the house. What we have in Black America is a bunch of single women living alone, raising boys and girls with no male influence. That's a major difference. People look at me, oh, Pablo, you just caping for Latinas. No, it's a different culture with men present in the home most of the time, even if it's not a husband. And so that matters. We don't live that way communally in Black America anymore. So that's my take on that.
I agree. Queen, what do you got to say about that?
Nothing much. I'm just taking in the opinions and listening and digesting at this point, and just trying to get where everyone is coming from.
Exactly. You can learn a lot here. That's the thing about the Black Manosphere. You learn a lot from these men. But I'm gonna let me see who else is next. Was it Chowhound?
Yeah.
I think you came next. Hey, Chowhound. Hello? Okay, he's not there. Let's go with Alonzo. Hi, Alonzo.
Hi, Melody. Thank you for having me up. Hi, Queen Q. Salute to the other people on the panel in the chat and who listen back and later on. Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to speak to the gentleman again because we keep going down this rabbit hole. Well, don't marry the bombshell. Be careful about this. What happens when she's 40? Blah, 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 blah. Yakety schmackety. It sounds nice. How many of you men have a family plan? How many of you men are thinking, 20 years down the line, when I find this woman who supposedly meets this criteria, this phantom criteria, am I in the position to meet the criteria that I need to be as a man for my legacy? How many of you guys are setting up college savings plans? How many of you guys are setting up retirement accounts? How many of you guys are setting up an actual family plan? And I work in this field. Hold on, Pablo, I'll let you respond.
I did that.
I work in this field. I hear that too a lot. And then I sit down with people, see the numbers, and they got $1,000 in savings. So what ends up happening is you can talk a good game. But when it comes down to brass tacks, a lot of the men aren't properly in that position. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
So let me get this straight. Now, Queen said that she don't require that a man has. She only requires that a man has the same thing that he has.
Men are judged by the land.
Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. So if she is in shape, then and a man is in shape, shouldn't he only require the same thing?
No, because men are judged differently. We judge the women by their beauty, but men need to come with resources.
Mm-hmm.
And as black men, you should be disgusted for talking on this low level shit when if we're competing against men of the other world, like if I go get me a Latina,
wait. It's not low level.
It's
the men of the other world are talking about the same thing. You see, you work under the assumption that that certain black men are subpar and therefore shouldn't require such a thing. However, there are black men like Pablo and myself who are. That's how Pablo is able to travel. And that's why Pablo is married. And he does provide the things that he's talking about. So what you're asking for is something that's extraordinary over something that's very basic and simple. And that is not be fat. Now, also, only thing Pablo was saying is that if given a choice between a slim woman and a slim thick woman, then you should pick the slim woman because that is part of your 20-year plan, and you want her to be slim thick after the she's had a couple of kids and something like that. So the 87-pound woman who turns into a 120-pound woman after children is perfectly fine. However, to expect that a man has a college plan for unborn kids. Let me ask. Queen Q, did your husband have a college fund for kids before he met you?
No, he didn't. No,
because he's not a fucking idiot. And he would be an idiot to have money set aside for the college education.
No, a fucking idiot would be someone who would make that statement. You have that shit set up. See, you're looking for the crack of the door, not the entire picture. He would be an idiot
to have a college fund set up for kids before he even met the woman he's going to put kids into.
But he knows he wants to have those kids.
Huh?
Why would he still want to save money for kids he doesn't have?
No. So you're gonna say you don't say so nobody has money in a bank account for an emergency because it's not going to happen. You see how
he hasn't even met the woman he's going to have kids with yet. That is so retarded. Or excuse me, Melody. I apologize. That is so Alonzo that it just boggles the imagination. So
I'm glad it boggled the imagination. It needs to because you're talking boisterous, but again. Let's look at this like this.
No.
Because you guys cry about 70% marriage failure, but 80% of businesses fail. None of y'all talking about not starting an LLC. But you start an LLC before you even have a product or a business. So if we're going to talk about idiocy, we'll talk about idiocy.
What the hell that got to do with getting submissive towards our women and stuff like that? Queen just said herself. Her husband didn't have a business or nothing like that when she first met him. I see Mexicans in New York who get submissive from their own wives, and they don't have business together. So what the fuck they got to do with having submissive towards our women? Why do I want to save money for my kids that I don't know I'm going to have? I don't even know if I might procreate with kids. So why am I thinking about saving money for future kids I'm not going to have? I'm going to save money for myself, not for no marriage, not for no kid, for myself first.
Mm-hmm. But then if you're looking for marriage and you're actively knowing you're looking for marriage, just like if you're saving money to buy a house, you don't know what house you're getting, but you save the money for the house. So you have it in escrow because eventually you're going to have the house. The same thing is when you're planning.
No, you do it for yourself, not for no marriage. You do it for yourself. Okay. The byproduct is in marriage. If she wants to fight and she's the then you leave her alone. There you go. I'm planning for myself, my future.
Right, and what does your future include? Being a broke dude, Dusty, with fucking cat juice in your fridge? Or
I've seen broke dudes and Dusty still getting pussy procreating.
If you
Can I say
planning for
something as
getting
the
pussy and
resident married
procreating, then
man
you should be
on the
planning
Yo,
for
panel?
the
Pablo, please, please
stupid
school this dude
motherfucker.
right here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Uh, uh,
I'm hearing a
wait,
brush walking
brother.
simp on this damn
Real
dude right
quick,
here, man.
Yo, bro,
real quick, brother.
I don't
I've been
youngster.
You know,
married
I
for
just
7
said
years.
brush walking simp right
Wait,
here.
wait,
I
wait.
yes, I'll
Guys,
be all of
Hold
that,
on.
but
no
you
Yeah.
still
yelling.
broke. So
One at a time
Hey,
and
You
no
more
yelling,
broke than
please.
oh
Let's
oh.
not
you,
Sorry,
you,
yell.
sorry,
Let's
Melody.
not use profanity. Thank you.
okay.
Yes,
Everything will
chat.
be
I started
monetized.
screaming.
Oh, but
Can
Chat,
I
bro.
everything
respond
will
to
be
this brother real
monetized,
quick?
guys. So let's respect
Can I
the
respond,
platforms.
seeing that I'm? Can I respond, seeing
Okay,
that I'm
go
married?
ahead.
I am the married man on the panel. Um,
Yeah, one at a
listen,
time. You go
brother.
ahead and then okay.
I understand what you're saying about being prepared. I prepared myself before I got married. I've been married for 7 years. You know how I prepared myself? I got an education. You can get a job. You can get a skill or a trade or something like that. Men join the military. There are lots of black men who are fully well prepared in this society to be married. I see I see Latino men who work on the back of a landscaping truck, and they have women, wives, and children. So, you know, earning an honest day's living is far more than enough to prepare yourself to be a husband and a father, because I see it every day. This idea that you have to be some wealthy man to function as a husband is a bunch of bullshit. It
Right.
just is.
who
Because
said wealthy?
plenty,
I should
I
prepare.
also want to point out, Pablo, that that it completely go against the concept of young love. Like it completely
exactly.
negates the concept of any man falling in love while he's in college himself. And
I
every
don't need
man.
quick woman. I'm already married, chat.
So it completely takes away that possibility, and we would be the community that is incapable of forming young love relationships. So if you take somebody like a classy young man in college who was projected to be a doctor and who now is one, by his logic, a woman should not really mess with him or should not have messed with him then because he didn't have college saved up for unborn children yet. Like that's really, really, yeah.
You're picking one specific point. I said an entire
Well,
plan.
there's a
Yes.
lot of
How many of you have college savings plans? How many of you have retirement plans? How many of you have all this stuff in
well, okay. So
preparation?
once again,
But
the
I
young
am pressed
love.
for time, but I'd like to hear your
Once
response on
again,
side things.
the young love argument takes place then because let's say a 20-year-old young man meets a handsome 20-year-old young man in college meets a pretty 20-year-old girl, and they say, hey, we should get together and after we graduate, start a family and live our lives together. And then she says, well, do you have a retirement plan at 18? Or excuse me, at 20 years old? And he'll say, what the fuck is wrong with you? And she'll say, I've been listening to a dumbass nigga named Alonzo. And you say, oh, well, that nigga's going to keep you single for the rest of your life. And yeah, that's pretty much how that conversation would go. So to avoid that, ladies, understand a dumb nigga when you see one. You see,
Nick,
Queen was
hey,
talking about
watch your
Queen
mouth.
was. Oh, excuse me.
Nick Gaga. Yeah.
Understand a dumb brother when you see one. Well, not really my brother, but understand stupidity when you see it. You see, because Queen was talking about the vetting process earlier. She was talking about the vetting process earlier. What you got to do is you got to vet your way out of people like Alonzo, because what they're doing is they are coming to you with this I'm not worthy thing, hoping that you will give them pity sex. Some people live off of pity sex. However, they're the only pathetic ones, and they want to kind of circle all the entirety of black men into their patheticity. Like, okay, so we're all messed up, but I'm the one that's willing to worship your fat, nasty pussy. Therefore, please accept me, ladies. Don't fall for that. Because not only is this dude pathetic, he has no plan of being anything but. He wants you to take him at that state.
Right.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so I want to get next. Chow Hound. Hi, Chow Hound.
Hey, I'm back. I guess the signal was out where you couldn't hear me. How you doing, Melody?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great. Queen, I wanted to address how you doing.
I am doing good today. And yourself?
Doing great, working as usual. I wanted to address a few things that you had mentioned. One of the things from what you were stating when you were talking about tech school, were you in the Air Force?
Yes, I was.
Okay, because I was in the Air Force. When you said tech school, that's the first thing that clicked in my mind because that's the terminology we use. I was 7 years from 73 to 80. And on a part of the tech school thing in the military, you were talking about the responsibility of the women. Now, I remember I mentioned when you had talked about cutting your hair, I mentioned 3510. So you know exactly what that is.
Yep.
And when we got out of basic training, one of the things, and I know you've seen this because I know you mentioned how you conduct yourself as far as dealing with men. When they got out of basic training and got to tech school, even the virgins were out to do whatever. Everybody was out sexing when you got to tech school. It was almost as if there was no responsibility. There was a few that say put a rubber on, but most of them, no. Even though at that time when I was in, if a woman got pregnant, she got discharged. So some kind of way a lot of them prevented that from happening. Not until they got into their duty stations, well into their AFSC where they were working. But it was crazy, especially when you got to your duty station, and then like you had these towns where women have had babies, and they were going to trying to catch the guy on the base. So I know you're familiar with that. When you said California, so I was stationed. One of the stations, my stations were Norton. It was in San Bernardino. I don't know if you was familiar with that during the time, but it was like they were targeted and focused on the brothers that was in the military. And hey, if they got pregnant, that was the deal. Because he's going to have to pay because he's in the military. If anything, we can file and we'll get them with child support. And the military will back them up. So I know that's a situation right there where women were out there and they were like going for it. They were going for it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You said you joined the Air Force what year?
It was in 73 and I got out in 80. I did 7 years.
Okay, so I went in directly after high school. I graduated in 2012. So I went in that. Okay. My tech school was 2 years, so I actually only served 4 years active duty. But I don't think that qualifies or classifies as the same because now what they do is you go through ATP and ITP phases. So when you first get to base or your tech school, after you get out of the basic ATP phase, you can't leave off base. You have to go to your room. You can't wander. You basically eat lunch, study, and do your introductory classes. Now, depending on how long you're there, your ATP could be anywhere from 2 weeks to, in my case, it was 6 months. After we got off of ATP, that's when we got into ITP. ITP was when you were allowed to go off base, go around and travel and do all that other stuff. I think the introduction of ATP and ITP actually lowered that statistical rate because when we didn't have co-ed dorms, in addition, you weren't allowed to go around base, which limited that sexual interaction.
I think that's why they probably put it in play because when they put the co-ed dorms and the women coming in the dorms in around 77, 78 when I was in. And I'm going to tell you something. When they opened up the door, the wives was coming over. We was going everywhere. I'm telling you. Even the civilian women was coming and spending almost a night in the dorm. So they opened it up. So I think they seen out of all the problems they had when they opened it up for us, they shut it back down by the time you were going into the military. So they felt that's not the best way of doing it. And that's even at your regular duty station.
Yeah, and then too, you have to realize 2012, I went into the military right after the sexual abuse scandals came out.
Right.
So okay. That's when they really cracked down on separation, no co-ed, and that's when they changed it out to where male MTIs could no longer be over female flights.
Right. Because that's what they had. The men were over the women the majority of times. That's who was in mostly your NCOICs were mostly men. And they were sitting even in admin. When you had women in admin, they had the men over 'em.
Yeah.
So there was a situation right there where there was a certain amount of control and abuse. There was abuse, no doubt. There was abuse. And the other thing I wanted to mention when you were talking about the voting. Now the way the situation is, I was involved in politics for a few years through the working of the media. Now I've seen how the Democratic Party has targeted the black woman, and they're targeted the black woman to vote Democratic, no matter what. So the whole deal is the woman, even if there's a man in the home, the woman's going to vote Democrat the way they push this. And if the man doesn't vote Democrat, this is where a problem comes in some instances, in some homes, because to keep the peace, a lot of the men went on ahead and voted Democrat because that's the one way they had to keep peace during the time of elections. So the way they got it controlled is they have corralled the black woman to vote in a certain way. But when they get done with this, they're going to throw the black woman away. People don't see that because China is a big play behind all of this, and nobody really realizes because a lot of the money's dumped in is coming from China. And if you notice, everything that's being focused on is spending and spending and spending, but still at the same time, everything's being produced over in China at the same time. So when the plug is pulled, China's going to have the upper hand, but they're going through the black women to do this because the biggest person that makes the purchases in this country are black women, and they know this. That's why they were so hell bent on bringing a black woman into the White House after having a black man in the White House, so they could keep that vote coming in that way. But that's going to be a dogfall sooner or later. And that's how some of these households are split, because you have some men are saying, the hell with this. I'm seeing this for what it is. I can't vote Democratic. And you having a big fight because the woman's going to vote. So when it comes to the bedroom, the woman's like, no, this ain't happening here. So they're using that also as a tool because the brothers are like, I can't vote this way. So you're not getting none of this then. You're not getting none of this then. That's the way they're looking at it.
I get what you're saying, but unfortunately, I really can't relate to that because in my household, when it comes to voting, me and my husband sit down and talk about who we're going to vote for. We really don't vote for stuff at the presidential level or the federal level. We mostly vote for just our local and state government, but that's about it. But we usually sit and discuss policies. We talk about different things, so we're on the same accord when we go to vote.
Queen Sue, that's a great idea that you're voting local over the presidency because the things that they pass won't happen until the next 4 years. You're doing a good job, you and your husband.
Yeah, we know that the local and state affects us more at the time and present than federal does. Federal is going to do whatever they irregardless, but voting for your local sheriff, voting for all of that, your and everything, that plays a bigger role in your day-to-day life in the city that you live in. So that's mostly what we focus on. We look at people's policies. We look at this. We look at how they do the zoning for the school district because we do have a child. He's currently in private school. So it's a lot.
Good job.
That's a fact, Queen. Yeah, respect you for that. I think we need to praise that more and more in our family households to stop voting for this federal level and start voting locally, the state level, city level. Focus on the city and local politicians. Stop focus on the presidency, that so much the way it is.
Yeah, so classy young man, do you have any questions for Queen?
No, actually, I don't. Actually, I'm just observing everything that was said. She was on point. I have nothing to interject on. She sound like a woman I probably would marry, but she's already taken. So go ahead. Sorry.
What you gotta say about that, Queen? See, they like you. I told you.
I have nothing much to say, but thank you for the compliment, though. I appreciate it.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Are you a dom or a sub?
It depends on the role that my husband wants me to play.
But what role do you like mostly on your own personal? The dom or the sub?
I think the
I don't think that's an appropriate question for a married woman. But
You ain't got to answer that. I ain't got to answer that. I'll leave it alone. I won't get you in trouble.
Y'all hit that like button. I'm only at 87 likes. At least get me to 100. Hit the like button. Hit the bell. I need to get to 1K. So let's get me there.
I'm gonna ask you another thing about anime. What are your takes on Americans doing live action anime? You know, they always whitewashing and everything. Like you seen the live action Ghost in the Shell movie and Dragon Ball Z and you got the up and coming Cowboy Bebop that's coming on Netflix. You know, what are your take on it?
I honestly have hope for the live action Cowboy Bebop. Just because I saw the actors and stuff that they're putting up there. But the other ones, yeah, they're hot garbo. I don't know why they keep trying to do these live action films. And it sucks because the blueprint is given and they never follow the blueprint, and that's what bothers me. Like even when you think of Avatar: The Last Airbender, they botched it. So Dragon Ball, they should never even try to tackle. They made Piccolo in that movie look horrible, and I'm just like, what is this? But
the director of that movie, he never even heard of the Dragon Ball franchise, so that's even made it worse.
Yeah, no, live action, it depends on who does the live action. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. The Promised Neverland did a live action movie shoot for their show, which came out really good. I'm a bit disappointed about Sister Chrome, but at the same time, it's one of those like double-edged swords because I'm hurt because it was a perfect way to introduce more Black people into Japanese media, but at the same time, Sister Chrome was a very negative stereotype, so I can't really be too upset about that. The Full Metal Alchemist live action.
I was about to say that. Yes.
The Full Metal live action, Full Metal Alchemist did very well with their live action. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I
was still disappointed, like crazy. The whole how they put it together like that and everything. Like maybe some of the looks was good, but how they put the story together like that, it was just similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender. They try to cram up so much one season to 2 hours, and it didn't come together like that. Yeah.
I understand, which is why I'm glad that movies are taking off. If you notice that the box office has had huge spikes now that they're showing more movies, even when you take Demon Slayer and the Mugen Train, it broke box office numbers, which I'm really glad to see. So I have high hopes for My Hero Academia. We're already prepping in my store with merchandise for the anticipation of the movie. In addition, we're doing cosplays for the movie in our store. So I really can't wait.
That's what's up.
Any other questions for Queen? And she has so much to talk about in the interview. GC?
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask Classy, how much do you have saved up for your kids' college fund?
Sarcasm, I like it. Actually, that's the only person that would know that is the person that handles my affairs. I would not say that online. Sorry. However, with that being said, what he said was totally dumb. Nobody saves up for marriage. It's just not happening.
How dumb he was, man.
Well, before they actually meet the woman, they don't. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like nobody saves up before they met the one. It just doesn't happen.
No, I mean, I get having a savings account or something like that, but not for the sole purpose. I mean, he said have a, college tuition. Like, can you even do that? I'm gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna go to the bank and say, yeah, I want to set up a college fund. Like, okay, for who? What's the name and the social security number of the person you want to set it up for? Oh, well, they're not born yet. Right? Oh, is she pregnant? Oh, no, I'm not even with the woman yet, but someday it's gonna happen, and set it up for the name of the person who ever has my last name in the future.
That made no damn sense. That was
exactly.
My personal opinion on that, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing something like that, because what happens if you marry a woman, let's say y'all don't start a family, she divorces you and then take half your retirement. So you just basically saved up for no reason.
That's what I was telling her. I'm like, you have to save up for yourself.
What you need most as a married man with a family is life insurance
Yes,
and
sir.
health insurance.
Exactly. I
Yes,
haven't heard
sir.
him say none of those 2 points. Well, he talking about saving money.
Those are the two things: life insurance and health
Health
insurance.
insurance.
Those are
Absolutely.
the
I
two
agree.
things that keep people out of poverty and bankruptcy.
Uh-huh.
So you get married, you want to make sure you have health insurance and life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two things you're gonna need the most. The other stuff, you know, so many
It's secondary. It's secondary.
is secondary. Yeah, you build that along the way.
Mhm.
But
Those
Exactly.
but wait a minute. I mean, shouldn't you get like health insurance and life insurance before you actually meet a beneficiary?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like when you ask for health insurance, they say, okay, or life insurance, say, okay, who's your beneficiary? And you say, well, the woman I might marry someday.
yeah, no, you gotta have one.
I can only imagine how that sounds.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
when you meet a woman, you should say, hey, I got health insurance and life insurance. Like, I think that, yeah.
Let me
And
say
like,
before.
Well, here's the problem with that. Let's just say if you approached a woman and said that, they could come back. Their rebuttal can be, "Well, I'm not on it." So what does that mean?
yeah, exactly. Like, but you can be because I already have it. I think that's what he considers game. That's what.
Put it this way, you set yourself up to be juiced. You got all this insurance. You got all these savings for a marriage.
Don't get me wrong. I think the way he put everything together, that's why it sounded kind of weird. If he would have said the person was doing that for themselves in the beginning, okay, fine.
That's what I was saying.
You're setting yourself up for something that hasn't happened yet.
That's what I was saying to him. Like, yo, you're supposed to invest in yourself first. Getting married known as a byproduct because you take care of yourself. He wants to talk about preparing for an invisible woman that you ain't even smashed yet. They ain't even kiss or even look at yet.
and that's why I'm criticizing it so hard. Is because you're right. I get what his intentions were, Classy, and that was he wanted to say that brothers are not established, but he is also not established because let's face it, he doesn't have like life insurance with no beneficiary, nor does he have a college tuition set up for no kids. So he's not established. But what he is doing is he's reverting to his Maggle instinct, and that is dirty macking. He just felt the need to come up and say, "Hey, brothers are inadequate."
It did sound like he was
me.
dirty macking.
Yeah, exactly. And you should give with me because I'm not adequate because I don't have a college fund set up for invisible kids. But what I do have is the ability to point out others' deficiencies and criteria that I made up.
Well, the problem is he was pointing out deficiencies and he doesn't know any of these brothers that he's pointing them out at. So it's kind of like, well, how do you make that come up with that distinction or decision? So it's like, okay.
He's just like Boyce Watkins, like I was saying. Him going to school, being educated, and make all this money, and still leading with his money, get the girl that turned his ass down multiple amount of times.
Well, I mean, think about this. I make a lot of. I make a lot of money. I won't say a lot of money. I want to be kind of modest. I make a decent fair amount of money. But however, I mean, what happens if I get into a car wreck or something and then brain stop working? Then what?
Exactly.
Are you going to be with me afterwards?
Yeah, true. But yeah, that whole concept and philosophy. But,
it was just weird.
Well, Mel, with that, what would you do if you were on a date and the dude said, hey, I already got our kids' college tuition set up.
It's funny. Think about it. What if I just approach Melanie and be like, "Hey, baby, yo, check this out. We gonna date, and I got our kids set up." And she might look at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about? We haven't even had sex yet."
Exactly. She would know she's highly attracted to you yet like that. That's a creepy question, yo.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. I'm not even gonna lie. That was weird when he came up, but
yeah, how do you lead with that?
You saw how hardcore he was enforcing this shit before we got on him, yo.
I mean, excuse my language, but how do you lead with that the first time you meet the lady that you like? I don't understand.
Yeah, it was pretty cringe. But let me see, Queen, if I want to ask you anything else.
Okay, yeah, I'm just here.
Okay, let me see.
Well,
So
Queen, do you have any questions for the men?
Yeah.
yeah,
You
good
have
question.
you have a panel full of men. You can ask us anything you want.
Um, I really don't have any questions. Usually, when I have questions, I always ask them at the time and moment of when it needs to be asked. So honestly, at this point, I really don't have any questions.
What
Have you
about
ever? I have a question. Have you ever come across men as technically like what happened on this panel with that dude, pussy panderer, that's doing more damage to females than what it is. Do you call out those men also too? Like you need to stop pandering to them. Stuff like that, please.
I have. I think I called out one gentleman earlier in Bernard's stream that was on it, and I was like, I don't, because he was trying to simp, and he's like, simping benefits women, so I'm gonna do it, and I was like, no, and he was like, so you mean to tell me you don't subscribe to something that benefits you? And I'm like, no, because I don't use people. I have enough common sense not to do that. I reciprocate what's given, and if I can't, then I'm not. And he was like, I don't believe that, and I was like, okay.
Well, it's weird because as I know that simping don't ever work ever, but yet they still do it. I think that when they thoroughly examine their own sex lives, they do come to the realization at some point, hopefully when they're like 14 or something, that that hey, this method doesn't work. Women aren't really attracted to yes men like that, so why become one? But
You want to know why game changer? Recently, like yes, I did this week, and Bernard was talking about it also too. The guy Mike Rashid, whatever his name was, Jessica. He was on Jessica's panel the other day.
Oh, Mike Rashad.
Yeah, very simple move, but he's still getting women.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny about
dudes like
that?
that give hope for simps, but
I have to push back on that a little bit, Mel. What he said, I didn't find simpers except for the part where he said he had did find a woman liking the God. I was like, well, I won't take it that far. I disagree, but everything else he said, I didn't have a problem with personally. I was like, okay.
I didn't see that particular panel, so I can't really.
Yeah. Now I had a problem with some of the stuff he said. Like he acting very naive about when Jessica tried to push back on him about the if you call a woman big overweight at your job, stuff like that, you won't be penalized. He thinks it's not real. Like it don't happen in the U.S.
Oh, trust me, Mike knows it's real. I know him. I know Mike. He lives in L.A. He knows.
Oh, you
it's
know him
real.
personally?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so,
why I said that brother's smarter than what he puts on. Trust me.
Tell me that's just a front when you put in just a like. So I'll get it.
Okay, so we have another question for Queen. It says, do you prefer animes with one season like Cowboy Bebop or animes with continuous seasons like One Piece?
For that question, it depends on how it is. Honestly, their storyline can be completed within one season, and it's one of those animes like, okay, it did what it needed to do. It finished its content. There's nothing more you can do with it. It was amazing. Leave it as is. And then, of course, like I watch One Piece. I love my long binges when we travel on the road. So I honestly like both of them. It just depends on the storyline. Like some of them can use a second storyline, much like Dead Man Wonderland. I'm still waiting for Dead Man Wonderland to get it. But other than that, it just depends on where the storyline leads to, how it ends, and yeah.
Right. Okay, so we have another question. How old are you?
I am 27. I am old.
You're old.
You're old.
Yeah, you're not 30 yet, so you're not considered old. Even though they would say you're in a danger zone if you
No.
weren't.
She's married already. She's not in the danger zone.
She's not in the danger
I was
zone.
gonna say if you wasn't married, but you're married, so you're safe. Let me see what else. Oh, we have somebody else on the panel. We have Jay Lion. Hi, Jay Lion. Jay Lion, you there?
I think he's muted. I see the little mute on him.
You wanna? Yeah. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Any questions for Queen?
No, I just came on. I'm just listening right now. I guess I have. I guess So I have a question for, I guess, yeah, I was gonna ask her how many women are aware of the like manosphere? I don't think many women are aware of it.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you.
Yeah, I said I think that I don't think most women are aware that even the black manosphere exists. That's what I was saying. Do you think there's a lot of women that are aware of this, or became more aware because of Kevin Samuels? Oh, can you hear me?
That's for you, Queen.
I can. I'm just trying to. Okay, so I think I know what the question that you're trying to ask, and you're from. I would say I do not believe that there are a lot of women that are aware of the manosphere. I feel like they're getting introduced to it, and it really depends on whose videos they click on if they're going to truly gravitate to the manosphere section, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, I always try to spread the word about the manosphere. I'm Game Changer. I promoted your channel to some people. I definitely promoted Bernard's. Like, and for introductory purposes, y'all two are like the main two that I tend to throw out, other than Obsidian. But that's about it. Like when I say I'm listening to the manosphere, most people I be like, no, don't listen to them. You got to get introduced first. It's a slow, gradual thing. Listen to Bernard. Listen to Game Changer. Listen to Obsidian. So
yeah,
pretty much. I got a question. What do you think the typical reaction from the average black woman is to the manosphere, to the manosphere talking points, issues, discussion?
It depends on the woman. Like for me, I will say this, like I said, it depends on the woman. Because like I said, my first introduction, even though like I know I'm seeing in the comments some people are like, you can't consider him red pill, but my first introduction, like I said, was Tony Sotomayor a while back, and it threw me off. Like I listened to him, and then some of his content got like, I don't know, weird to me. So I was like, I'm just take a step back from him. But then my husband brought me to Bernard's channel. And I was like, okay, I can definitely mess with Bernard. And then we listened to a couple of Game Changer videos. And I was like, I definitely fuck with Game Changer. And then we listened to Obsidian. I was like, I definitely fuck with Obsidian. And from there, it's just kind of like I've started to slowly branch out. Like I was listening to Edward Anderson. I've just started listening to like Platinum. Angry Man is somebody that I'm starting to listen to. Little Big Nate, I'm starting to listen to him. He cracks me up sometimes.
Oh my God, yes. He's very entertaining. I like it.
I'm laughing. Me and my husband, like, we take some talking points and we'll be walking around quoting him.
Oh my God. Well, your husband is saying, ask her about Griffith? What's
Don't
that?
ask me about Griffith. Do not ask me about
What is that?
Where is he at?
You don't want to say? Okay, I'll leave it alone. I'll definitely leave it alone. Yeah, but I was introduced from Game Changer. Like I saw a Game Changer show, and at first I was scared because they were so mean to me in a chat when I first started. Were they mean to you?
I wouldn't say I had people that were mean to me because when I first started listening, I didn't reply. I kind of set off in the cut and listened, and then I looked at the reactions in the chat, if that makes sense.
Right.
I've only had really one person really come at me sideways being in the space.
Oh, really?
Male or female?
Male.
Okay.
Does it start with a P?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
Well, let me share with you my mother's first reaction when she heard me listening to Obsidian show one day, sitting down at her table eating lunch. I was listening on my phone, and this will tell you how generationally, how far things have changed. My mother's 80 years old. Okay, I'm 51. My mother said, "Oh, who is that? I like that." That's how men used to talk when I grew up. So take a woman who was born in the 1940s, when most black families still had a man in the house. Her listening ear is totally different than the typical black woman who may have been raised, without a father in the home or whatever, or in, like you say, the third wave feminism.
Right.
And my grandfather was a Marine in World War II, a black man, so he was no nonsense. So when she heard Obsidian and she heard the men and the way they were talking and what they were talking about, she was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yes. Her responses and her thought processes were totally in line with most of, what's said in this space. Now she's a little gentler to other women with it, but trust and believe. My mother's had friends that she's had to cut off and leave alone and leave to their own devices, in her lifetime. So a lot of this is just common sense to people of a certain age.
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about a story my mom told me when she was young. She got with my dad very young, at like 15. And she said a lot of black women, a lot of her friends was telling her to leave him alone. Don't mess with him. He's no good. And guess what? They still married. I was thinking, why do you think, Queen, black women love to do that? They love to get involved in relationships and try to break up a happy home. Why do they do that?
First off, I believe it's because of jealousy, and secondly, because they're ill-informed and they don't know what a good functioning relationship is. I think that plays a huge role into how some women perceive relationships, because you have some women who look at their friends, and if they see no fault in their man, they're hunting down reasons why something has to be innately wrong with this man. There's no such thing as a good man. So you having one, they have to try to break that down, because if not, then it validates a lot of their ideology.
Can I make a statement somewhat on that? You say that you have interactions or you have conversations with feminists online and things like that, and they say, you think you better than me, because you're married. I think that they should know that you are better than them, and it is because you're married. I think that they don't want to embrace that fact, because all women are not equal. Some women have greater value to men, making them better. And those women tend to be married. So have you ever said that? And what do you think their response would be if you do?
I've said something kind of along the line of that to one woman, and her reaction to me was, well, don't talk to me until you've struggled. And I think I brought that up earlier on the show, where I had one woman that told me I had a superiority complex because I was married and I didn't make mistakes.
But you are superior because you are married and you didn't make mistakes.
That's
you
right.
You are superior. That's what superior. Kind of like a person who got perfect grades in high school, and they went to the Ivy League, and so they didn't make mistakes on tests and exams, so they are in a much superior position. Like that's what that means. Kind of like a person with an undefeated boxing record. They're the superior boxer. Like not making mistakes is what make you superior. So do you explain this to them? Like, well, yes, I am superior because I did make mistakes. I mean, like don't say you should lose a boxing match so you can learn something. Like, no, like you actually continue to win and beating ass, and you know how to beat ass. Like, so, I mean, I'm wondering, like, how do you explain this? Because I'm trying to dig into their brain.
I've never replied to them like that. The most I've ever done was just kind of be like, I really don't consider myself superior to anybody. I know it sounds weird, but I see myself as normal, but I'm starting to realize that maybe I'm not as normal as people should be, because I'm like, no, I'm not superior because I didn't make mistakes. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do as a human being. You're supposed to strive not to make these stupid mistakes. So I don't see how you trying to say I feel superior because I had enough common sense to say this is a bad situation. Let me not get myself involved with this type of person or put myself in this type of situation. So that's more or less how I responded to it. But I've never considered myself really superior to these women. I'm just like, do better. Like that's my motto. Do better.
But you know why? Because
And those who do better become superior.
exactly. Not only that, you did it in a humble way. You was real humble with how you handle it and stuff, and how you got what you got in your life.
She shouldn't have to be humble. That's what I'm saying, Mel. Like she should just understand that that she's their better.
No, you can still be humble.
Do you realize that if this was ancient Roman society, women like that wouldn't be allowed to wear purple? Like they understood that the married woman of Rome was the superior being, and the other chicks weren't even allowed to wear purple. Or even if they saved up the money to be carried around in a litter, they still couldn't do it. It was illegal. They couldn't eat the good bread. Like it was very clear who the better person was back then and who the better woman was. And I think that should be made clear to them if ever the opportunity presents itself to them, and say, yes, I am the superior woman. And if you don't believe me, ask my husband or ask anybody. Ask the would-be husbands. That's classy. Like,
yeah, that's what's also killing.
Like,
that's what also killing them even more. Like I said, she did it in a humbleness about herself, the way she handled it with them. Like instead of getting a ratchet reaction back or screaming after, like, I'm just being me. Like, I know what I want out of life. I know the type of man I wanted and what I'm not going to tolerate. What I have to do myself to be wifed up and material. She played the game and got the results.
But also you have to take in consideration also a lot of these women will go at her based on the fact that they have psychological problems, and it stems from other generations of women. They probably been abused, and the only thing they know is heartache. It's just like a woman telling men, oh, you got with that woman because she was easy, and you're kind of like, well, should I get with a woman that's rough?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, but when guys come at me like that, and they do, I say, well, yes, I did. Yeah, yes, I did.
And you would be well within your rights to say that, actually.
Yeah. I'll tell some.
That's why I say that. And see, here's the thing. Because this is what I don't like to see. I don't like to see how these chicks try to keep Melody and Queen Q and so many others. They try to keep them in their place, and that place is as a flunky to them.
Well, because they were taught femininity, Game Changer. That's why these women that are going at them haven't. Exactly. And the only thing, not trying to interject or disrupt you, I'm just saying this is what they know in their generation. We gotta be strong. We gotta grow. And it's kind of like.
But see, I would use Sarte Simone as an example. She said she used to be that type of woman, and she went a 180 change, and see what she got. See, the problem is a lot of these females every day, they want to stay stuck in their mindset. They don't want to accept the choices that they made came with trade-offs, and they don't want to understand the context of their trade-offs. And that's the problem.
It's like the terminology "pick me." It never made any sense to me. It's like, well, you don't want a woman to be picked by men, so should they be picked by you?
Yeah,
and there's
always another shaming tactic.
I've used superiority in the life choices. See, you made superior life choices, and therefore you get superior results.
Exactly.
The superiority is not God given. Well, God made me better than you. No, I made better choices than you. And so I get a better result. I went to college, I educated myself, I got a master's degree, and I get to fly to Dominican Republic and have a wife with a 26-inch waist who's better than yours.
She's superior.
Right. So, the superiority is not that God made me better than you. No, I made choices that gave me a result.
Bingo.
So I want to propose a challenge to Queen Q, if you do, and I will facilitate it on my show any way I can. I would like for you to get 128 black single women to kiss your wedding ring.
That's funny.
We're gonna kiss the ring, biatch.
That's funny.
That's asking me to put my life on the line. You know, these women out here is crazy.
A little bit, but just ask politely. You know how to do it. Just be like, yeah, kiss it. like kiss it. Just a little peck. Just
Get them on.
You know what, Queen? I will also add to this.
I know you want to touch one. I know you want to feel the feeling of a wedding ring on your lips. You know, you haven't kissed anybody in a long time, you know, without first going down on them. So yeah, kiss it.
You know what, Queen? I will add this also too. I will add this also too. Play the song Destiny's Child "Cater to Your Man." Why you doing that?
I heard about that stupid controversy. Oh my god!
Matter of fact, do that on Father's Day. Kiss the ring. I'm going to my husband, and y'all got kids together.
Yes, we have a child.
Yes, I'm going to the father of my children and cater to them. Very lovely. Rub it in their faces.
In addition to that, like you have to be you just explain to them the whole Lord of the Rings. You understand? Lord of the Rings, they are Smeagol. You are Frodo. You are Frodo because you have the ring, and they are Smeagol because they want the ring. Like, that is what it is. And remember when Samwise had the audacity to hold the ring for himself, and Frodo snatched it back? Like, oh, you're not ready for this. You are unworthy. You know, you're a gardener. I'm Frodo Baggins. Deal with it. Deal with it. Squeeze it. Squash it. Gamma. That's what you do. You are Smeagol. You lurk around in darkness looking at the rings of others. Like, that is what you do.
So, Queen, there's a question from Tim Howard 5. He says, so do you have these conversations with women your age? And if you do, then what was their reaction?
I will say this. I try to have this conversation as much as possible with women. As I spoke earlier in the stream, I am new to the area that I'm living, so I have not found a proper female friend group, if that makes sense. But I do try to at least educate the younger women who come to me who want to know about the world and how things are conducted. I do that. A lot of it mostly is about, like, I have younger women who ask me about my marriage, like how you met your husband, how you guys make it work. I do throw some red pill at them. I'm like, look, you need to realize your sexual marketplace value. You're young. You don't have kids. Work on finding a man that's going to fit these qualities, and actually focus on marrying and not just out here fucking. I told a couple of them not to don't participate in Hot Girl Summer. I get it.
Oh God, no.
I get it looks fun, but it's doing more damage. And then, like, I like, for example, a couple of my younger females that work for me, I tell them, sit back and watch these women, and then give it a week, and then see how the reaction that they get. And they're like, I did what you say, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing definitely what you're saying. And I'm like, yeah, because I know how the real world plays out. And so I'm like, you know, I'm doing my best, but there's only realistically so much I can do. I can give you the information, but it's up for you to digest it, study it, and enact it.
Amen.
Good answer. Okay, so I'm
after that, they should kiss your ring.
Yeah. Especially the fat chicks.
As a matter of fact, GC's next stream, why don't we do that?
Make the fat blue cows kiss that ring.
Right.
It jumped out here. I'm in the South. These women are bigger than me.
Oh, where are you from?
They're bigger than everybody.
I'm Queen.
So originally I am from California, but locally right now we are stationed in we are living in Mobile, Alabama. That's where our business is. So anybody in Mobile who wants to support an anime store, come through.
Oh, yeah.
Are you thinking about moving? Are you thinking about moving back to California?
Right now we're not. We're looking to expand our store and open up a second. We just don't know where just yet. We're probably going to put it in a major city though.
New York would be good.
Don't put it in California. It's too expensive.
It is expensive out here.
What was New York?
New York is expensive too. New York.
The anime business, you can make money out in the anime business in New York.
Well, I guess you can too in California. There's a lot of Asians here. So
Yeah.
We full in Atlanta.
He said we full in Atlanta.
That's the city starting to open up, and you definitely want an anime store when Comic-Con comes around, especially California. You're going to cash out.
It's just a lot of starting capital. But, I mean, it is a market for it. I agree with Classy.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, Game Changer, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Are you aware that Kevin has been kind of low-key shouting you out with the sandwiches? Fix me a sandwich.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm aware of that. He's a proper dude, so he says sandwich. But, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, right. He shouted me out when he first started doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not Tommy. I'm not going to say, you don't say my name every time. Nah, I appreciate it.
No.
You know,
everybody knows where sandwiches come from, no doubt.
Yeah.
What about Sam Mitch with the N?
Right? All the way.
The other one with the N.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have some t-shirts made, Game Changer.
Right? Because I sure use that around the house. I'd be like looking at my husband. I'm like, you want me to make you a sandwich?
Oh. I saw that on Sister
I
Jordan.
am building happy homes. That's good. Yeah. One
sandwich
at a time.
She was like, yeah, I'm about to make, she actually said it. I'm about to make Curlin a sandwich. I'm like, oh, shout out to GC.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I've heard some females out here say that. I'm like, you've been watching Game Changer.
Facts.
They listening.
So I'm about to shut down, guys. Make sure you guys come to movie night. There's the link. Just hit it and join us. We have a good time talking about old movies. We look at it through a red pill lens, so definitely come through and talk to us. Also, anybody have any questions for Queen? Final questions?
No,
final thoughts.
Well, just wanted to say, Queen, just continue doing everything you can to get your business up. Keep your family intact, and if you come across any young females, make sure you tell them the truth. Don't go down the rabbit hole, because all you have to do is look at the 40-year-old and 50-year-old women of today. They're drunk, they're depressed, everything. So,
if I can, Melanie, I just want to boost myself out there real quick. So I am Queen Q. I operate an anime store under the name Yokai Den. I know that we have a couple anime watchers or anything in here. We do not have an online store, but definitely if you see something on our Facebook and our Instagram and you want to purchase it, let me know. I have mailed out hundreds of packages. So if you see something you like or something fits your fancy or you're looking for something specific, don't hesitate to hit me up and I got you.
Wait, you have a you said you have a website?
We don't have a website. Me and my husband are building that now, so that way we can get that set up. But what we do is if we post something, so like for example, we have some new items coming in. So if you see something that you want and you hit me up and be like, hey, I saw this Capsule Core Trunks jacket that you had. I want it. I'd be like, what's your size? Put it in the mail, send you an invoice, you pay for it, it ships out that day to you.
Oh, cool. I want to purchase some things.
All right.
No.
Just let me know, hit me up, and I promise I get it to you.
Okay, definitely. Just I'm not into anime, but let me know what's good and I'll purchase it actually today. All so right. Email me and let me know what I should purchase.
I want a Mr. Popo bonnet.
You said you want.
Oh.
Wait, hold on, guys. Can you please spam Queen's channel? Queen, and is it Ryzen or Risen?
Risen, that's my husband.
Right, yeah.
For my channel, I don't do Manosphere content. I leave that to the greats. I do anime debates. So if you guys, I'm planning to do another stream this Saturday. We're gonna break down more anime. We're gonna debate other things. So feel free to come, hop on the panel, and let's debate anime. I know my husband wants to do a Star Wars trilogy one. He wants to talk about the Forgotten Texts and the Revan trilogy and all this. So we'll definitely get on that too.
Oh,
okay, yeah, I'll get on that.
Yeah, that's
hey, and do a Bane one. Do a Bane one. That's my dude.
Bane from Batman?
Darth Bane.
Oh, Darth Bane from Star Wars. Yeah,
okay.
Rachel Old Republic.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Okay, my bad. When you said Bane, the first person that popped in my head was Bane from Batman.
Nah, I get it. Yeah.
Too, so.
Yeah. So can you drop your channel, Queen? Risen, can you drop her channel? GC, can you drop her channel?
I gotta find it, but yeah, I'll do that. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes,
All my mods, drop her channel. Everybody subscribe.
yep. And I do anime debates. I do them, and I'm hoping like we did the Goku one, so all you Goku stands, y'all missed out.
Aw,
Next one
sounds
we're
fun.
gonna do is tackle like the Naruto, and then after that we're gonna get into face offs because like you got some people out here that be really riding on Goku, and I'm like, there's plenty of characters out here that can beat him, but
They Superman could beat him.
No, that's that screen. That's that screen. Screw attack people. They Superman fanboys. Goku can be Superman.
That is a true fact, though. Superman can beat the shit out of Goku.
No, that's not true.
I saw that Eisen asked you a question.
Debating right now.
I think he asked, who's your favorite villain, anime villain?
my favorite anime villain, the undefeated from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, DL. DL Brandy is my favorite. I'm sorry. He got the swag, he got the body, and he quick to kick somebody in the face.
Yeah. Oh, is this her channel? Let me see. I think this is her channel here. So
I'll
make
just put it there.
like right now. And make sure you guys also hit her up for some cool anime items. Definitely. Support.
I want the Mrs. Popo bonnet. That's what
I mean, if you want a Popo bonnet, I can definitely hunt you down a Popo bonnet. And I gotta see you hop. I gotta see you cam up with the Popo bonnet.
with the vest and everything and the hammer pants. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let me.
All right. So tonight's movie is Deliver Us from Eva. So everybody come through. Deliver Us from Eva is pinned in the room and it's starting right now.
It starts right now, so hit the link. You should come by, Queen and Risen. Come watch the movie.
We will try, but we promised our son we would take him to Chuck E. Cheese today. So I think that's what he's literally. I feel like he's standing outside the door, like eyeballing.
Oh nah, take care of that. Yeah.
Wait for me. I put up Chuck E. Cheese long enough for him.
Yeah. Nah. If you remember what it's like to be a kid, yeah. I mean, then yeah, you want to go right now because that's his whole life. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed the interview.
Thank you. I did too. And thank you guys so much for having me on. I am greatly appreciative to be in this space. Thank the gentleman that hopped up on the panel. I definitely love all of your guys' point of views. I can't wait to talk to you guys in the chat and stuff.
Yay.
So have a friend. You have a friend.
Oh, yes. We can be besties. I never had a bestie before, so we can definitely be besties. All right, so thank you so much. Everybody, make sure you like on the way out. Make sure you're subscribing if you haven't already. And thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.